Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Le Parte. Le Partio. La Parta. Okay. Gotta make streaming live stories on Twitter, or not on Twitter, but making an announcement to my Twatter followers, my twallowers. It still says True Paranormal. That's okay. They get the story. Woo! Up in this. All up in this fish. Oh. Sweet. Okay. Guess we already got somebody in, whoops. At every... It's funny. I type at everyone in Discord and someone's got a name that's pretty close to that, so it threw me. Alright everyone, attention. I am doing a thing. Sean Stillman, always good with the starting out. Dono with the 2 says right on time. Oh yeah. Stream time. Soup time. Oh, that's funny, so. Spooky says, have I posted any pictures of my play button? I think maybe like way back when I first got it, which was quite a ways ago. Quite a while ago. But yeah, it's been, I could probably post another one and be like, I remember when I first got this. But it's interesting, like, whenever you get it, you, like, you don't just get it. Like, you can get to 100,000 subs, but then you gotta, like, go to a separate thing on YouTube and apply for it, and it's, like, another, company that does it, which is really weird. Lexi Nicole with the 2 says, let's get this bread. I like the sound of that. And I love carbohydrates. Anony Mouse with the 1. Thank you, Mouse. And there's Bellatrixa again, back with the Aussie Bucks and the 5, says, good morning everyone, just had my banana muffin and chocolate milk, so I'm ready to go. That actually sounds amazing because that is exactly what I used to have like almost every day for breakfast in high school. So I'm curious if that's where you're at in life, or perhaps we just have similar tastes in food, but I just remember like the cafeteria foods. They were just always like the same predictable thing, like a small carton of chocolate milk and these amazing muffins, prepackaged. I remember the one thing about like school lunches is I never felt as if though I had enough liquid to throw in my body. Because I would, you know, they would have whatever terrible, like, you know, personal pan pizza taco diarrhea that they were giving you, and then like and then I remember, you know, you would get like a milk and an orange juice. I don't know if they still kind of do that thing where you get like one large drink and one medium-sized drink as you go through the line, or if they even do that kind of thing at schools anymore, I'm not sure. But I remember getting like fruit cups in additional to that, usually the ones that were just like pears or peaches covered in syrup, just because it gave me additional moisture to suck down my salty food. But back then I wasn't a huge fan of water. That's probably what some of you are asking, like, why didn't you just have a water bottle with you at all times? And I don't know what it was. Water was not high on the charts. Aiden says your favorite video from me is I Heard It Too. Yeah, I like the sound of that. That was Mr. Axeman Cartoons' hard work along with the voice work of me and the beloved Eden. She played, I believe, played Sarah in that scenario. And yeah, he's created some awesome stuff. I hope you guys have watched part 2, the second animation of the 5 5 2-sentence horror stories. And Breadmoth, does Let's Read have a crypto wallet? I do have a crypto wallet. I remember getting into the craze when it was popping up and stuff like that, and it's kind of all just been sitting there for quite some time. As far as like cryptos, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and all that kind of stuff. But regretfully, I don't think I made any money off of it, and I guess I could put my crypto, wallet addresses in the description in case people want to donate, but because it's not like as popular, I just never really contemplated it, I suppose. But it might be a smart thing to do. I mean, always, good to have another avenue if someone wants to donate, Longwood University in Virginia. All right. When is episode 26 of the podcast? Yeah, so I was kind of like behind on the podcast just because why is everyone typing Q? Or did someone say type Q or something like that? Oh, everyone press Q for Let's Read to sing. Oh, is that what we do now? Ooh, yeah. Baby girl, I like to rock your world all day and all night. Baby girl, rock your world. Maybe I should just stick to reading. Probably not the greatest vocalist of all time. Might need some practice. Farmville, Virginia. I remember when Farmville was just absolutely massive on Artbook. Killed your cat with my singing, that's good. Broke some windows, hopefully. Vixie, you got this on a 24-hour stream going at all times. You got Let's Read rolling 24/7. I appreciate that. And Lexi Nicole with the 2 says you better sing the rest of the stories. Yeah, we could try it. I've always kind of wondered if I did training if I would maybe be able to sing, but anytime I do, I just immediately am met with a either a crippling sense of failure or usually some, good old-fashioned ribbing from colleagues of sorts. Elementary Abuse Chan with the $2 says, so beautiful singing. Thank you, guys. Thank you. This is the feedback I need to break into my opera career. Oh. The Halo theme song. Bellatrix with the 2 says, my friend Bruno likes your singing. Well, thank you, Bruno. And thank you, Bellatrix, for the dono. No singing. Alright, no singing. We're going to hold off. We'll save that for the after party. Jacob, thank you for the $1, my friend. It's good to see you guys. Vegan Penguin, no homo. I love your voice. $2. That's okay. We are open to all forms of love here at Let's Read. You want your future boyfriend to have a Let's Read voice. He better just find some of my hair and make a clone, because it's one of a kind. Press the duck emoji for Let's Read to read about deep web stories. Ooh, I don't know if we got any of those today. I'm curious even what the deep web is anymore, to be honest. Are we, I mean, at this point, I feel like it's just like, what do they call them? Just like farms to catch pedos and buy drugs and stuff like that. Maybe find a red room or two, but I know I'm not gonna find myself on there, mainly because I'd be terrified of just like not having, like, I don't really know what I would get on there in the first place for, to be honest. I guess maybe out of some sort of morbid curiosity for what all the hubbub's about, you know? But I know you kind of need like addresses to go to, and I wouldn't even know what address to venture towards without immediately going to jail, and or my worst fear, getting my identity stolen. Nicole Creasman with the 2 says, much love from Montana. Huge fan. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Montana does seem like a beautiful state. I really want to go to the Four Corners. That would be a really fun road trip, perhaps. Yeah, some Ordinary Gamers. I've seen their channel or his channel. It's really funny, actually. He, like, if you guys ever listen to That Creepy Reading, he's another friend, a narrator friend on YouTube that helped me out when I was first starting out. And they like almost looked identical to each other, though Some Ordinary Gamers is like just like a darker version of him, and it's, I don't know, it's really funny. They're like doppelgangers. Mary Jane says, how do I find you on Discord? Well, down below it should be an invite that works for Discord. And otherwise, if it doesn't, we can link that. Maybe Spooky can link that to all of you fine people to get you in there. Thank you. Yeah, let's road trip. Yeah, road trip's something I haven't really like put serious time and effort into. Sometimes I like, if I'm on the road for even just like a couple of hours, like if I've like lifted weights, like my hips get like so tight to the point that they're like burning. I don't know if you guys get that, where you just get really tight from sitting in a car all day or whatever. I almost feel like I'd have to like every couple of hours take some like you know, yoga pauses and just like be in the middle of the road just stretching as giant trucks are flying by. Naked goat yoga in the middle of the highway. Now there's a horror story. Toit like a toiker. A-Dub, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Another mod in the house. Not a single naughty word will be said. Redmoth, I'm glad your day is going better. Okay, Spooky, you got the chiropractors got you on strict orders to be stretching there every 2 hours. I agree with them. It's honestly a good thing. Since I've gotten, once again, I'm going to shtick my, make the shtick for the stand-up desk. No particular one or brand or anything like that, but just avoiding sitting for long periods of time has made a grand difference in my life as far as general tightness and posture. And right now, as I'm speaking to you guys, I've got my headset on, and I'm just able to do a nice sort of lunging stretch to both sides. No hindrance there, and you know, if suddenly I am the mood to dance, I can do that. Breadmoth says, I'm still miffed about the incident about Assange. Yeah, Julian's... Well, let me say this. I don't know for certain, but he may be very important very soon, is all I have to say about that. Yeah, Let's Read does need a standing desk sponsor. That would be nice. I don't know if anybody's a friend of mine, C Mustard, the guy who did the comedy videos, was really pushing getting involved with this thing called Grapevine, which is apparently some sort of like external group that finds sponsors for YouTube channels and influencers and creators and all that kind of stuff, video makers and stuff and streamers, and he was almost like taken aback by the fact that I've not gotten involved with them yet. So I'm not really sure how sponsors really work. I mean, I do them for my podcasts and stuff, but the podcast company Audio Boom that I work with, that hosts the podcast for free to, in return, like getting me the sponsors and all that kind of stuff. They all do all that kind of like heavy lifting process, which makes life much easier than for me to go out and find them. But I've always been interested in, as far as the business side of things go, like how you go about getting in contact with people and all that kind of stuff, because I've received emails and stuff about sponsoring stuff, but I mean, it's just sometimes, like my content, the fact that I narrate and read, like they're asking me to most of the time, include like a 90-second clip before the video starts of like me rocking some like pair of clothing or stupid toothpaste, or I don't know, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you guys wouldn't be horridly opposed about that, but I know like for new people they'd be like, what is this? This is not any stories. I'm clicking away from this. I'm not able to, I can't fap to this, right? Richard, my good buddy Richard with a $5 says, got any Sea Cryptid stories? Sea Cryptids. Now, honestly, those would be really interesting. I did read some in the past, I remember, related to like people that experience like UFOs and orbs and stuff like that at sea that like cause the crew to, I believe, either pass out or not remember much or something from the experience. But I definitely, those are really creepy. I've always been kind of like in love with the sea, but also mildly terrified of it as well. That'd be cool. Red Moth with the 5 says, I just wanted to say I'm glad you live stream. I'm subbed to a lot of channels, so Patreon is not feasible for me, that's all. Oh, well, Red Moth, I appreciate that. Yeah. Sub to a lot of, yeah, Patreon, I'm not really sure how it works, but yeah, for the $5 there, it's mainly just if you're interested in the early access and all that kind of stuff, and then you can download the MP3, and it's only $1 a month and that kind of thing. But either way, thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate that. Lexi Nicole with the 2 says, slides $2. Bet you won't do a face reveal. Well, Lexi, you haven't joined our Discord yet, have you? There might be a little surprise waiting for you in there somewhere. Well, guys, we're going on about 20 minutes into this stream thus far, which right around the 15 mark is usually where I make our transition over to narrating some spooktacular stories here. So let me do just that. And like I always say before, let me know if some of this music gets a little too loud on the back end of things as we switch over to our good buddy Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse and his devilish, dark ambient music. To set the mood. But yeah, if you were in for that little face reveal surprise, there might be something in selfies that you may enjoy. It's a picture of my cat. Actually got a lot of pictures of cats and dogs in the selfies, which I find funny. But hey, honestly, it's I like seeing everybody's doggos and catos and pedos. Well, that sounded weird, but you get the idea. Pets, I should. Oh yeah, who's got the mistake counter going tonight? Spartan Hunter must be off on some sort of Boy Scout trip or something, because I have not seen him in a few streams now, and he's usually on my bottom. Cassie, my daughter, she's here. Welcome. We got a triple entendre of moderators. Pradeep, my cat, a black cat, is not in the room currently. I left the window with a screen open in the living room area, and sometimes he likes to, during the springtime, make his way out there. It was kind of awesome. Well, I guess awesome from a bit of a morbid standpoint, but so our yard, me and my roommate's yards that we live at, the house we live at, Jackie Salt with the Canadian dollaroonies says, nice voice crack. Love your voice, by the way. Thank you, Jackie. Sometimes it's hard to maintain. It just keeps wanting to revert to childlike status here. And Breadmoth, the two, says, what do you think of the pic of the black hole? Yeah. Real quick about outside, and I'll get to the black hole for sure, because that's big news, guys. Biggest news of your day, I'm sure. But yeah, so my roommate had taken a video of there's a bunch of rabbits and squirrels and all this kind of stuff that run around in our yard, like freaking probably, like, you can look out there and see at least 3 or 4 just chilling out in the yard almost every day. But it's also shrouded by quite a bit of trees, and I remember probably about a year or 2 ago seeing, isn't that funny? I can't differentiate between one year or another, but it's okay. I remember seeing a hawk, well, a bird of prey, can't say specifically which one, was up in the tree, but before I even noticed that, all of a sudden I noticed like little, like it looked like snowflakes coming down. I'm like, is it snowing? And then little did I realize that there was actually like little baby rabbit fur like falling from the tree that the hawk was just like eating it up in the tree, tearing it apart. And then today there was a hawk that was beside our bush in our front yard that was ripping apart a rabbit that had caught, a pretty large rabbit at that. And my roommate went in to get like a closer video of it, and as it did, it was kind of like freaking out because it would try to like pick up the rabbit and like jump away, but it would just kind of like throw it because the rabbit was too heavy for it. So it was just kind of like one of those nature is metal kind of moments there. And Lauren Serpaneto with the 2 says, sending love from Jersey, my fave. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. Hope everything's okay in Jersey. Hope the waters aren't too cold and you avoid high tide and high taxes. Yeah, but Breadmouth, related to the black hole picture, I don't know, you know, like, it's kind of something that I, you know, I don't really, you know, you don't really think about black holes a whole lot, I guess, because, or at least consider that it's like an important aspect of your life. At least, I mean, I remember hearing about black holes. You know, everyone kind of knows, like, if they're into like the whole space stuff, you know, on a very superficial level, you've heard of like black holes, and you've heard of like the event horizon, when you enter into the black hole and it sucks in light because it's so unbelievably dense and the gravity is so strong that it just, even light, you know, a particle that reflects off of everything and travels at incredible speeds can't even escape the gravitational pull of super massive black holes, and to the point where you can't even really visualize them. And to me, I've always kind of heard that with black holes, they were more of like a thing of science fiction to me. I think obviously a lot of people kind of are just under presumption that they exist based on sort of, I guess, inferred. Is inferred knowledge the appropriate term? I mean, they talk about perturbations or some terminology like that, where it's like you can mathematically, if you know, say, the sort of rotation and maybe velocity of a certain mass, in a vacuum of space or whatever like that, and its gravitational effects based on, your sort of theoretical equations and its effect on other celestial bodies, you can kind of infer that if there's some sort of change to that they're being acted upon by an external source, you know what I mean? And that's sort of, I guess, like how they came to the theoretical conclusion that the only way that certain, large masses such as suns and solar systems and the way that galaxies form and the way that they rotate are sort of based around the idea that there's something so dense and so strong gravitationally that, that's where the theory of black holes came from. Kane, that's pretty funny. But to me, it's always been relatively theoretical. That's not to say that I would disagree with it, but then suddenly we have these, this group of individuals who I haven't really read the full story, so I apologize. If you guys know more, definitely fill me in. But it seems as if there's a team of programmers and, of people working together that have essentially come to the ability to visualize the black hole by using multiple pictures and sort of creating reference points of light that reflect and generated an image in some sort of representation of what a black hole might appear like. Does that excite me? I have no idea, because I still kind of wonder to myself, like, well, what is a black hole? What is its importance? And why is that so exciting? But hey, we're all nerds, and I think deep down everyone kind of hopes that a black hole is something like a wormhole or a teleportation to another dimension or something like that. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, when you look at it superficially, all it is just, I don't know, a big pothole in space that sucks everything in that goes by it. Just a space leech, pretty much. But other than that, I don't know whether I should be excited or not. Amber with the $2 says, makes my day when a new Let's Read video is posted. I appreciate that, Amber. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, the Walmart video has done really well so far in the first 24 hours. So I appreciate you guys watching that and supporting the channel that way, and obviously supporting on the stream here. King Akoni with the 5 says, so glad you were on. It's Uber Eats delivery time. All right. I like the sound of that. Maybe you can drop by my crib here and bring me a pizza pie. I don't know if you deliver pizzas or not with Uber Eats, but that'd be pretty sick. Bella back with it with the 2 says, we get kangaroos in our yards and also koalas. See, that's cool. Koalas, I hear, I saw a really funny Reddit post about just how unbelievably kind of, not necessarily dumb, but just sort of pig-headed and moronic koalas are, to the point where you almost have to look out for them because they find themselves in some pretty precarious situations. And then, I don't know, it just sounds this really funny Reddit comment just about essentially how the majority of koalas' brains is just kind of like a smooth mass, because I guess intelligence oftentimes is determined within the brain based on how many folds you have or whatever. You can correct my terminology there, but apparently a koala's is smooth as a bowling ball. And probably why they're gonna go to the way of the dodo, so to speak. Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away the rain. I don't know if that's the... Is it dry away the rain? Oh, you know what I totally forgot, guys, is my water. But I have tea. But I'll need that water eventually, so I might step out after this story. But we're actually going to get into a story. Those were good questions, and I honestly appreciate that. It keeps me... You guys keep me on my toes. My mom is the youngest of 7 girls. Her oldest sister is 20 years older than her, and all I knew about her was that she had a history of mental health disorders and that she did not treat Colin Grandmond with the 5 soaking wet, syrupy Canadian buckaroos says, sending over those maple-soaked doll hair. That's so funny as I was saying that. You know the deal, yeah, but really love your streams and your videos help me get to sleep. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Colin. I'll take all the syrup you can cover me in. Her oldest sister is 20 years older than her, and all I knew about her was that she had a mental history. Oops, she's off to a good start. My mom is the youngest of 7 girls. Her oldest sister is 20 years older than her, and all I knew about her was that she had a history of mental health disorders that she did not treat, and that my mom had not spoken to her since she was about 10 years old. To be honest, I didn't even know this aunt existed. One day when my brother and I were about 6 or 7, my parents sat us down. They showed us a picture of our aunt and told us that if she tries to talk to us around the neighborhood, to immediately run to the closest house and call them right away. They said that she is dangerous and to treat her as a stranger. My brother and I were so confused because it was my mom's sister. But, okay. Fast forward about a year and my family is at my cousin's basketball game. This is the daughter of the aunt in the story. My aunt walked out on the family about 10 years before, so there was no reason to think we could see her. Whoops. Also, it's like transitioning to spring. Has anybody else been kind of like, not necessarily sick, but like snotty, you know? I don't know if anybody else gets that. It might be allergies and I'm not even realizing it, but I haven't seen a lot of pollen or anything building up, and I never really struggled with allergies in the past, but I don't know if it's just like the sort of air pressure or all that kind of stuff, but I've been getting kind of Spoon Man. This is the daughter of the aunt in the story. My aunt walked out in the family about 10 years before, so there was no reason to think that we would see her. My brother and I begged my mom to let us get something from the snack stand, so we went over and stood in line. I felt a tap on my shoulder and turned around. It was my aunt. At least it was the woman in the picture. She said, "Hey, I'm your aunt." I said, "Hi," because I did not want to be rude. She said the same thing to my brother, but he didn't respond. She then said, "Well, this is so long, how about..." Wait. Well, this is... Oh, okay. "Well, this line is so long, how about I take you guys out for ice cream?" I didn't know what to say to this. This was my aunt, and I really didn't want to be rude. Brother responded, "No, we have to get back to our mom now." She said something along the lines of, "Your mom said it's okay. You're my niece and nephew. I would never hurt you." Nope. That was it for me. I said, "Sorry, we gotta go." I then felt a tight grip on my wrist and was being dragged with my brother for the door. I didn't yell. I don't know why. I was a kid. I had a piercing... Oops. Confused Reviews with the 5 says, "Love the channel. Whether I'm editing a video or trying to fall asleep, chances are I pop in on one of your videos. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Confused Reviews. What is you reviewing, my friend? Sounds cool. This is so long, but okay, no, we have to go. I didn't yell. I don't know why. I was a kid, I had a piercing scream, but I just froze. I heard, "Let them go! Those are my kids! Someone get them!" My mom was running full sprint across the court. I had never seen that kind of look in her eyes. People immediately grabbed her and got my brother and I away from her. Apparently she got charged with attempted kidnapping since my mom did press charges. We have restraining orders against her now. 23. My cousins took my brother and I to get food, so I don't remember much of the police part besides telling them what had happened. I only learned once I got older that the reason my parents sat my brother and I down was because at the time, my aunt was blackmailing my parents into paying all of her bills, phone, rent, medical, etc., and sent pictures of our house and my brother and I saying she would take care of us if the money stopped. Her grabbing us at the basketball game was right when my mom and dad approached her ex-husband about the blackmailing, and he is a lawyer, so they were coming up with some kind of plan. I work as a secretary at my mom's office, and a year ago I picked up a typical call, but it wasn't typical at all. I said, "Hi, I said hi with my name. What can I help you with?" She said, "Well, hello. It's your aunt again. Is your mom available?" I said, "No, I'm sorry. Can I take a message?" And she said, "Just tell her I'm free, man, now." Oops. "Just tell her I'm a free man now, and I know where she is. I know where you all are." And hung up. I told my mom. She told me it was okay and that I shouldn't worry, but I still worry she will find me or just show up at any moment. Either way. Actually, I'll end on the different note there, sorry. This is the last little... Sometimes I kind of hate ending on the let's not meet again type thing, you know? I told my mom. She told me it was okay and that I shouldn't worry, but still worry she will find me or just show up at any given moment. Alright, wow, Kashi with the 28. Maple syrup. Doll Hair says, "Hi, Dad. By the way, let's read. Can visit my black hole is the best line ever, and I've only been here for 5 minutes. Hashtag truth. Now I can only picture covering you in maple syrup when I send a donation. Oof." It just pours on me. It just make it rain, but you guys just make it syrup on me up in the northern aspects of the Americas. Is it North? Yeah, North America. Okay. Cincy Red with the 2 says, "Love from Cincinnati. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Cincy. And Cincy Red with the 10 again. All right, we're double dipping here. Thank you, Cincy. Hope everything's going okay with the Bengals. I don't really know what else to reference in Cincinnati. I think I've got family in Columbus, so that's kind of close. Did I see Pet Sematary, the new one? I have not. It seemed kind of like, you know how there's certain horror movies that catch your eye, and then other ones that just sort of, you can tell, are just kind of like right out the gate, just going to be like utter flops. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like an utter flop or anything like that, because I haven't seen it, but anything that's a remake, I'm already kind of like apprehensive about, you know what I mean? And, I don't know. Oh, Cincy Red, not a fan of the Bengals. Okay. Well, that's good to know. We'll get the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. I like that division, to be honest. Is that what, AFC East? Or am I wrong about that? Yeah, no more remakes. I know, I'm just I'm sick of it because like I saw Pet Sematary in the past and it was just like sort of a quintessential, I don't know what year it came out, but it felt like a quintessential sort of 80s movie. You know, one of those ones where it's like, it wasn't huge, but it gathered some sort of like, you know, cult following per se. Best Friends Club says, what if someone sent 500? I would poopy me pants. Is probably what's going on. Rat D says, is that you that do the drawing in the background in your videos? Oh, Dolphins are AFC East. Okay, then what? I guess AFC North. Am I? Yeah, I feel like. Yeah. Sorry about that. A fan of football, but definitely don't know the ins and outs too well. But yeah, the remakes of movies, it's just kind of like, it's just, I don't know, it just feels so pigeonholed, and or not pigeonholed, but just so forced, you know what I mean? And I just don't, I feel like Hollywood is so out of touch with its core audience. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they just look at the numbers and they say, like, oh, fuck it, throw money towards that 30th remake. I'm sure somebody will see it, but honestly, not only will somebody see your remake, but even more people will see your new idea. I mean, like, not everyone was a huge fan of Us, or This Is Us, or whatever. Not This Is Us, but I guess just Us, with, what's his name? Peele. But, like, it was something new, you know what I mean? It came out at a good time. It was something new. It gave us something entertaining, but, like, you don't want to like release something that people are just going to write off, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I really don't think that Hollywood's always afraid of like, oh, we don't want to invest too much money into something that can't guarantee us money back. But it's like, well, then don't do that. Just invest like little bits of, you know, your budget or whatever towards new ideas, and then just build from there. I don't know. Yeah, don't get me started on Marvel movies. I didn't even, honestly, at this point, I didn't even know. I just learned, like, yesterday that the new ones, what's Endgame or whatever is even coming out. I just, I don't even know. Stephanie Miller, YouTube didn't notify you? What the heck? YouTube. There's people that need to hear me read. It's very important. You guys got to write letters to YouTube that said, Let's Read has cured my, you know, stinky farts, and I need him in my ear at all times as per doctor's orders, Dr. Let's Read's orders. Please notify me or you will be liable for a very stinky room. Oh, we got somebody's birthday going? What's going on? Oh, yes. Robin Mickelson, he's in the chat right now. Oh, you gonna watch that? Robin is the beloved individual who does the art in the background. The last video we did, another artist, Eichelin, I always pronounce it wrong, but she did the art for the like little island that was featured, but we've kind of had a pretty good rotation. Robin's been contributing a ton of awesome work. He made the thing that you see in the background right now with the deer horns, the Wendigo-esque creature, and as well as the really cool overlay there. I've been really fortunate to meet some really good people on here. So this one's called Proposition on an Airplane. Yeah, she says you might cancel Netflix when the Disney streaming service comes out. You're a child and you're tangled. That's interesting, yeah. So, okay, so is Disney pulling out all of their stuff from Netflix? That is interesting. Alright. My parents are divorced. I live primarily in Australia, but travel back to see my father, his family, and my extended family in the UK every chance I can spare. This story revolves around one of these visits. At the time of the visit, I was 13 years old, and due to scheduling conflicts, would be traveling alone without my other sibling. Luckily, most airlines and airports worth their salt offer assistant program. Oh, shoot. Yeah, this one was already in a previous video, so let me just get rid of that. Sometimes we get repeats, it's okay. Okay, so there we go. A Russian catfish. That'll be a good one. Okay. Don't use that previous clip. I'm just recording to let myself know. Already used it. This encounter happened in the summer of 2006 when I was 20 years old. I didn't get my driver's license until January of that year, and driving opened up so many doors for me that I took a lot of solo trips to my friends' houses in New England and the mid-Atlantic states. I also looked young for my age and was often mistaken for a high school student in my early 20s. I was driving alone on I-78 on a random July day on my way to visit my friend in southern PA for a long weekend. Her parents were away and we had the house to ourselves and were planning on drinking and hot tubbing and watching Planet Earth. Maybe run around some cornfields at night. I was so excited and had a great drive listening to good music, and it was a beautiful day for driving. Right after I crossed the border from New Jersey into Pennsylvania, I stopped at one of the first rest stops to get gas and snacks for the last part of my drive. I have tried to figure out which rest stop this was and can't identify it, but it was a gas station with a large mini-mart. Opposite the gas station was the on-ramp back to I-78 West, and parallel to the on-ramp was a dirt road which comes into play later. I was heading into the store when a man in his late 30s, early 40s approached me. He was a stocky guy, decently tall. I'm 5'1", had on a plain black tee and jeans with dark brown hair and a mustache goatee. He had come out of a black pickup truck parked a few spaces away from my car. He had a super intense gaze and immediately creeped me out. He just had a crazy energy about him. I don't really get vibes from people that often, but this was so strange. He stood too close. His gaze was crazy, direct, and focused. His word choice was strange. It immediately set off all my alarms. He asked if I was from the area, despite my Connecticut license plate, where I was heading, and if I knew of anything fun to do because he had plans later and time to kill beforehand. He invited me to go play mini-golf or watch a movie with him. I didn't answer any of his questions, declined his invitation to hang out, and told him I didn't know the area and walked away towards the store. I was blown away that he asked me to go somewhere with him. It was so random and uncomfortable. As I was walking away, he actually screamed out, "You're gorgeous!" And the volume and tone made my hair stand on end. It was so aggressive and inappropriate, and he startled a family walking out of the store. It was so loud. I didn't turn around, but went inside. He came into the store shortly after and was staring at me, so I went to use the bathroom and stayed in there for at least 10 minutes texting my friend about this creep. When I came out, he wasn't in the store anymore, so I took my time buying drinks and snacks. Sour bread crawlers and trail mix being my obligatory road trip food, and went out to the gas station to get shit. Garrett Weissman with the 5 says, "We can start the party." Garrett Weissman is here. What's someone else? Wait, what's someone else? Pick a request. Oh yeah, sorry Garrett, I don't know, has it been a while? I think I've seen you before, but yeah, basically, we haven't really done requests in quite a while as far as donations go, but basically I'm just kind of making my way downtown, walking fast, recording stories for tomorrow. But I do appreciate the $5, my friend, and we can start this party. Hardcore. When I came out, he wasn't in the store anymore, so I took my time buying drinks and snacks, sour bright crawlers and trail mix being my obligatory road trip food, and went out to gas up my car. I was relieved his car was gone and started thinking about the rest of my drive and getting excited to see my friend. When I pull up to the road to get back on the highway, I hear someone persistently honking his horn and see this creepshow on the dirt road parallel to the on-ramp in his trunk honking, shouting and waving at me to drive over to him. He was directly facing the gas station and had been waiting for me to pull up. I immediately freaked out and jumped on the on-ramp back onto I-78. He pulled onto the highway after me and I called my friend extremely scared. I drove so fast and probably dangerously, and looking back, am in lucky. I drove so fast and probably dangerously, and looking back, am lucky that I didn't get into an accident, but I didn't know what to do. He didn't follow me for that long, and I think after a few exits he pulled off. My friend and I had a backup plan that if I saw this car again, she would direct me to a police station the next town over from her house instead of me going directly there and leading some freak to us. I didn't see the car again and went to my friend's, but the last hours of my drive I was extremely tense and anxious. I remember checking my mirrors regularly for this black pickup truck. It all ended well. I got to my friend's house safely and we had a nice weekend. The encounter was definitely creepy, but over the years I didn't put much thought into it. A few years ago, in 2014, I was talking with another friend who was big into serial killers and mentioned my encounter, jokingly suggesting that he was one. Fuck. He had goldfish named Drum and Bass. Those are good ones. Those are good names. My goldfish is named Bone Wrench. A few years ago, in 2014, I was talking with another friend who was big into serial killers and mentioned my encounter, jokingly suggesting that he was one that I had met, and told her my experience. She was fascinated and wanted to Google active ones in the Pennsylvania area at the time. The first hit was Adam Leroy Lane, and he looked almost exactly like the man I met back in 2006. Obviously, it could be my mind filling in the blanks, but the basic characteristics, 40s, tall but stocky, brown hair with mustache and goatee, and the time and area all match. In my memory, he was a little bit slimmer than the picture, and it was 2006, not 2007, when he was actually convicted of... fuck. Chelsea Nadala with the 2 says, glad I made it. Hi, Joel. Hi, fellow Discord peeps. Well, thank you for joining, Chelsea. I'm glad you made it back. And Mish Cutie Pie with the 2 says, 200 days till Halloween. Love all. Love ya. Thank you, Mish Cutie Pie. Yeah, I always get reminded of that scene from Nightmare Before Christmas when he's like, there's only 364 more days to Halloween. In my memory, he was a little bit slimmer than the picture, and it was 2006, not 2007, when he was actually convicted of murdering a woman. Still, women. Multiple women. Jesus Christ. In my memory, he was a little bit slimmer and fudge. In my memory, he was a little bit slimmer than the pictures, and it was 2006, not 2007, when he was actually convicted of murdering women. Still, it's an odd coincidence, and one I've never forgotten. Lizzie in the house. What's up, Lizzie? Welcome to the party. And since you just got here and I've completed a story, I am going to run and grab my water that I filled up but then left in the kitchen, so I'll be right back. I have returned. There's a snake in my boot. Yeah, water is definitely important when you are a blabbermouth just like me. Some gargle action. Okay. This one's called He Was Obsessed with Me for 3 years. If you want to be liked at work, compliment people behind their backs. That's a great idea. Never say it to their face. Thank you, guys. Let's keep this party rolling. Why is my voice so nice? I don't know. Perhaps I practice using it a lot. I love you. Please, 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 please notice me, senpai. Who said that? Just kidding. Hi, Shayo-chan. Shayo-chan? Jackie. With the 279 Canadians. It sounded like you ripped ass when you got back. I wish I did. Release all this gas. Maybe it was my... Oh, here actually. It's probably the sound of my water. That'd be a stinky, gurgly one right there. This story begins when I was in 4th grade. So, I was about 9, as I was a bit young for my grade. Because of me being younger than the other kids, I didn't get along with them very well. So, whenever we would go out to recess, I would make sure to bring whatever book I was reading at the time. I had my own special place I liked to sit and read. It was a little corner of the playground where barely anybody went. It was a large patch of clovers and other overgrown plants, and had a large bush with a gap between it and the fence. I used to love to sit there. One day, I went over to my normal spot and sat with my back facing the bush. I had been reading for a while when I thought I heard a rustling sound behind me. Sometimes squirrels and chipmunks would hang out in the gap between the bush and the fence, so I didn't think much of it. That was until I heard heavy breathing and something tugging at my Oh crap. Excuse me. Owen Helmkamp with the 2s. Thank you, Owen. The great last name. Helmkamp. That was until I heard heavy breathing and something tugging on my pigtails. Surprised, I whipped my head around, thinking my hair had gotten caught on a branch or something. But instead, there was a boy. He was sitting hunched in the gap between the fence and the bush, leaning forward between the branches with his face mostly obscured by leaves and his arm outstretched, trying to grab at my hair. I screamed, bolted for the picnic table area where the supervising teachers were. I was a very shy little thing back then, so I didn't say anything. Instead, for a long time after that, I sat and read by the teachers during recess. About 3/4 of the way through the school year, I made a friend who we'll call Matt. Matt was also a bit of an outcast, and when we got assigned to be in a reading group together, we became fast friends. He was nice enough, but even my 9-year-old self could tell that there was something off about him. He was way too clingy, barely ever leaving my side and constantly coming up with excuses to touch me. I, of course, didn't have any other friends then, so I ignored it. However, one day, he told me that he liked me. I had no idea how to react to this and just said nothing. He apparently took my silence as yes, because he called my home phone later that night. My mom handed me the phone, saying that a friend was asking to talk to me. Since my parents were watching TV downstairs, I decided to go up to my room so I wouldn't bother them. It was Matt. I could barely even say hello before he started saying some seriously weird stuff. He started saying things like, what do you want to name our kids? When we get to high school, let's run away and start a family. I bet you look really cute when you're asleep. Now, this would be creepy for anyone, but I was 9. I had no idea how to handle the situation, so I just stayed away from him. He was not happy about this, constantly glaring at me and just being all around super creepy. A year later, I was halfway through 5th grade and had a serious bully problem. That's a story for another day. It got so bad that my dad decided one day to not wait until the next school year and instead switch schools the following Monday. 5th grade at my new school was great, and starting in 6th grade, my parents got me my first phone. Of course, I called up Clara, who became my friend after the Matt incident, and let her know about my new phone. A couple of more months had passed, and one night, I got a call from an unknown number. Wait. Did they mention something about Clara and I missed it? Because I don't remember them talking about it, Clara. She says, of course, I called up Clara, but I don't think she referenced the existence of Clara prior to that kind of assumption that she would contact said Clara. Who is Clara? Ah! Who is this mysterious Clara? I must know. Your voice is beautiful. You can't hide what's inside. You will see what's on the inside. I don't really know what that means, but yeah, side character. Clara is most likely the villain in this story, I'm thinking. I have a really strong feeling that Clara is probably going to trap her in a basement, or maybe. I hope. I mean, I don't hope that happens, but I just kind of, Clara just sounds like someone who might do that in 5th grade, you know? Of course, I called up Clara, who became my friend after the Matt incident, and let her know about my new phone. A couple of more months passed, and one night, I got a call from an unknown number. Picking up the phone, I froze when I heard Matt's voice. I still vividly remember what he said. Hey baby, I miss you so much. Why'd you leave me? Not even a second after he said that, I hung up, blocked his number, and called up Clara, as she was the only person at the old school who had my number. Apparently after school, he had asked to see her phone to call his mom, and oh shit. Apparently after school, he had asked to see her phone to call his mom, as he had forgotten his at home. She handled it. Fuck, dude. I suck. Apparently after school, he had asked to see her phone to call his mom, as he had forgotten. Wait, what? Apparently after school, he had asked to see her phone to call his... Oh, okay, Claire. Okay, so this is Clara's phone. I don't know why. I don't know why this is so confusing to me. I just feel like there's a lot of, like, assumed knowledge that is not conveyed. Apparently after school, he had asked to see her phone to call his mom, as he had forgotten his at home. She handed it over to him, as she was a very kind but quite gullible girl. Soon, she noticed that he was taking a while, and that he added a pen and was writing something on his arm. She yanked her phone away, and he panicked, sprinting off. Looking down at her phone, she saw that he had opened my contact info. I was freaked out, but felt safe as I had blocked his number. That didn't stop him, though. He would call me every single week from a different phone, leaving at least 10 messages each time. Every time I would block one number, he'd somehow call from another one. When I got a new phone, the calls stopped and I forgot about it, until freshman year. At my high school, there were a couple of kids from my old school, and I suddenly remembered Matt. I asked one of the boys, Harry, if he knew what happened to Matt. According to Harry, he got expelled. Teachers had caught him smelling and touching girls' hair, groping female students and trying to sneak into the girls' locker room, and writing extremely explicit stuff about himself and other girls in the grade, as well as a few other things that I can't remember. The realization hit me like a semi-truck. Smelling and touching girls' hair. The boy hiding in the bush when I was just in 4th grade. Damn it, Clara. You were in on it the whole time. I knew it. You just wanted to... Yeah, that was a young Joe Biden taking a sniff. That was the story of young Joe. Oh my god. We finally get the full... Everything comes full circle here. It is weird though. I'm just like, the kid kept calling and like, you know, like, I don't know. I get like people have mental disorders and yada yada, but like, I guess I just don't understand them. Like, I just don't understand what would convince this kid from a very young age until to the point of expulsion from school to like constantly be motivated to just like touch girls' hair stuff, you know, and smell it. Just like where you can't even like control yourself. You just have no self-control at all. And I don't know. I guess it's difficult trying to work through the reasoning of a mentally, I don't really know, psychologically deranged individual. Yeah, I mean, that's all you can really chalk it up to, is just mental. And there's obviously, maybe science has got quite a ways to go. I mean, the human brain is a very strange organ. I mean, it named itself. Am I right, guys? Alright, so this one's called Russian Regret. Sounds sick. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like a very young kid fixated on like sort of sexual things with other girls. And I think to myself, I'm like, I mean, I guess we as kids are like, I always find it weird when, you know, like, I mean, I guess those feelings arise at any point. You have feelings towards another individual, but then to actually like act upon them. Venikin's art with the 2 says, I want to touch Pradeep's kitty's hair. He would let you. He would not mind a nice sniff and a stroke. He's kind of a man whore. Just probably roll on his belly and just say, have your way with me. But yeah, I mean, obviously kids just kind of mimic what they see adults do, so if they see adults, I don't know, treating one adult, maybe an adult male that's represent, you know, a role model in his life, acting a certain way, gonna act that way, I guess, or sort of be upset, and then maybe once he acts upon it, all of a sudden there's like a sudden, like, you know, sort of like when you develop your nostalgia. So like maybe you play a video game when you're younger that you love, and you play it now and it's kind of cringy, but you like it because it's nostalgic. If you develop bad habits from an early state, it becomes something that you can kind of lean on over and over again, or find some sort of strange satisfaction in. That maybe that's why kids are just that much more prone to repeating those actions, and obviously without discipline from the parents. Garrett Weissman back with the 2 says, Joel, I'm going to call you Butter 'cause you're on a roll. Thank you, Garrett. We rollin' hard. Rollin', 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 rollin'. So I'm at a club with my then best friend. Near the end of the night, we're approached by a random guy who is alone. He has a heavy accent and tells us he just moved here from Russia. He tells us his name is Jesse. Doesn't sound like a very Russian name, and I'm immediately on guard. This friend of mine has a tendency to pick up the worst guys. I'm talking like, in a room full of people, she will somehow manage to pick out the single craziest guy in there and start dating him. And being as close as we were, I always manage to get sucked into it. And this night is no exception. I pull her away from Jesse, but not before he manages to get my friend's phone number. Later, as we are in her car ready to drive home, she gets a call from Dressy. Dressy? That'd be a funny name. Jessie likes to dressy herself. I pull her away from Jesse, but not before he manages to get my friend. God, I keep turning my R's into W's. I pull her away from Jesse, but not before he manages to get my friend's phone number. Later, as we are in her car ready to drive home, she gets a call from Jesse. She answers, and his voice rings out on her car speaker. "Can you give me a ride home?" "No," I immediately mouth from the passenger side. She's silent. "I just live around the corner from the club." He persuades. She reluctantly agrees and hangs up. I asked her why he can't take an Uber or walk if he's that close. But it's my friend's car and she wants to be nice and give him a ride. So we pull back in front of the club and he hops in. During this short car ride, he manages to get out a sob story about how he moved here to start over with his 1-year-old son. His wife back in Russia died in childbirth. My friend is eating this up. I hate him almost immediately. The next day, he's texting and calling my friend, asking her out. She at least has the sense not to want to go out with him alone, asking me to come along with the guy I was dating at the time. So we go to the beach and drink a few beers. Jesse takes his and wanders off alone. My guy joins him and I see them chatting for a while. I distinctly remember him describing Jesse later that night. I like the guy. He just seems a little lonely. I'm wondering why no one can see the red flags but me. Then again, I always did have a sense for these things. The night goes relatively smoothly as the weeks go by. The four of us hang out a couple more times. Jesse keeps trying to invite himself over to my friend's place. Beg my friend to, if nothing else, keep her address private. Do not let him know where you live. Thankfully, she thinks this is a smart policy. He seems oddly fixated on going specifically to her home. As the weeks go by, he shows us pictures of his son, and he even shows us a picture of his son's birth certificate, which seems a bit overcompensating. But I never meet this supposed son and have no idea where he is during all of these outings. Jesse, that fuck. Sorry, that was just like a really long sentence and I got confused. But I never meet this supposed son and have no idea where he is during all of these outings Jesse was going on with us. I asked him plenty of personal questions, trying to figure him out, and I think he knows I'm on to him. But soon enough, my friend starts dating someone else, who is an entire other story in itself, and Jesse wants to be the only guy in her life. He becomes possessive and makes her choose, him or the other guy. Unfortunately for Jesse, she chooses the other guy. He's furious. The next day, Jesse is blowing up her phone. Texts, calls, voicemails. When we finally listen to them, they are increasingly violent, full of cursing. The last voicemail reveals everything. It was all a lie. There is no son or wife. He calls us idiots. The last word he speaks say that she'd regret it, and he will make her explode. I shudder to think of it now. So she blocks him and life goes on. But due to the next boyfriend being even crazier than this one, I eventually need to take a break from this girl. We go our separate ways. And yet the nagging feeling about Jessie never goes away. Jessie often pops into my head and I get the worst eerie feeling. A while down the road, I end up catching up with her over text. Even after our falling out, she can hardly wait a few texts into reconnecting to ask me if I remember Jessie. My blood instantly turns cold. I say yes. She sends me the link to a news article. It's about a Russian man arrested for a crime while trying to flee the country. He has a very Russian name that I've never heard before. As I read the details of the crime, I'm horrified. It turns out he murdered his ex-girlfriend by shooting her 5 times. I look at the photo of the suspect. It's Jessie. He got life in prison after making a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. I'm hopeful we never see Jessie ever again. I missed a dono at the top there. Bellatrixa, yeah. The $2 says, I didn't do it. What did you not do, ma Bella? Or cerebellum? Oh boy. Russia. In Russia, marijuana smoke you. How many people we got in the old chat there? Mine is yet to update. This next one is my 11th grade PE teacher. Let's not meet again. Spartan's in the house, and he's here to at me every time I make a mistake. 307, that's pretty solid, yo. Shit. You actually want... Cassie wants to name her future daughters that you have after Disney princesses cry. I've said forever that we need a guerrilla warfare princess. I said it over and over and over and over and over again in a tweet, and I added Disney. And it's kind of funny, I added Disney on Twitter about that, about needing a guerrilla warfare princess. And I didn't expect them to respond because I know that's kind of expecting a lot. But oh, someone's got a cool car outside. Vroom vroom. But they actually made it so that their @ in the tweet disappeared, like as if though they just deleted, like unassociated themselves with it. And I thought that was pretty hilarious. They're just like, they're like, all right, we need to disassociate ourselves from any guerrilla warfare princesses at this point. Maybe they were thinking about it. Maybe that's like, maybe they actually had a plan, like a guerrilla warfare princess is in the works, and they didn't want me to like spoil anything or something. Honk honk. Vroom vroom. I'm a girl, and I was 15 when I was in the 11th grade. 5th form. What? What does that mean? 5th form? Is that like a, Oh, I live in Trinidad, so I might use some un-American terminology in this. Okay. Trinidad, man. I'm a girl, and I was 15 when I was in the 11th grade, 5th form, because I'd skipped a year in primary school, so I was a year younger than most of the other kids in the class. When I was in that grade, I was not exactly the most healthy or athletic person, but I genuinely enjoyed PE class, and I liked to run around in the gym and play games and such. So when I had to pick courses for semester 1 of grade 11, I made sure to pick PE just like I had done for grades 9 and 10. I was a little shocked when I got to the first day of PE and found out that our old PE teacher had gone back to Canada because his work term here was over. He had been with my school for 4 years, so it was understandable once someone told me that he hadn't gotten fired. We meet our new PE teacher. He looks to be around 30-something, with light skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair that was shaved on the sides and styled but short on top. A lot of the girls immediately liked him and said he was handsome, but I didn't see it because I wasn't interested in boys or men. This PE teacher liked to take us on walks and runs, so we would leave school at lunchtime in a bus and come back as school was ending, since PE was last period. One time we went to a place that was known for its howler monkeys. It was a paved path through a forest and it went up and around a hill. We started walking, PE teacher in the back. When we reached as far as we could go in the time that we had, we turned around and started going back down the trail. I was slow and not very fit, so I was in the back with my teacher. The whole way down, we were talking about what we knew about the howler monkeys and animals in general. I was an animal nerd growing up, so I had a bunch of things to talk about. I was so happy to get to talk to an adult and have them take me seriously. I know it's kind of dumb, but I am the oldest grandchild to a very traditional Chinese grandfather, and I'm a girl, not a son like he wanted. He pushed me hard to get good grades and never really wanted to talk to me, and my parents were always working, so I just wanted a grown-up to actually listen to what I had to say. On the bus ride back, I sat in the front of the bus so we could continue talking. I only got more attached to him when he let me talk his ear off about whatever I was obsessed with at the time, which was usually some comic book, TV show, or movie. I think at the time it was either Transformers or Pokemon, but whatever it was, he let me actually talk about it. I didn't see anything wrong with that at the time. I was always in the back of the group during our walks, and so was he. I figured we might as well chat. He liked to touch my hair sometimes, but I was used to that because my hair was so long it was past my butt. After a few days of just walking and going places to do jogs, we played field hockey. We did it with 2 teams and our teacher playing as just someone who would pick teams as he played, so he was kind of like a third team all on his own. He would help the losing team score points, and I don't think it was a coincidence that the losing team was mine, seeing how non-athletic I am. It was during this game that the other girls started to see something wrong with the way the teacher played. He would pat girls on their butts with his hockey stick in order to get them to jump or get startled, leaving the ball open for him to steal. The girls later were complaining that what he was doing was gross and wrong, but I said that I didn't see anything wrong with it. It took me some time to realize that he really shouldn't be doing that, the realization coming when he started to use his hand to pinch the girls' butts instead of tapping them with a hockey stick. Next thing I knew, the dude was fired. Oopsies. The dude was fired. It's moving. The Wendigo's moving. It does, like, periodically zoom in and out, with the, on the Wendigo thing. It's so cool. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's, like, really weird. Because it's, like, horns of a deer, but then it looks as if though it's like some sort of skull, and then it's sitting on like a grass hill, and then I don't know, like it looks like fingers grabbing around the sides, but maybe Robin is in the chat to explain it to us. Yeah, where's Clara and Dressy? When you need them. They're all part of the same lore universe. Next thing I knew, the dude was fired. He didn't quit. He was fired. One of the girls must have told the principal or something, but I know that it wasn't... Whoops, she said it wasn't B, but it wasn't me. One of the girls must have told the principal... Fuck. One of the girls must have told the principal or something, but I know that it wasn't me. I was actually so upset when he wasn't there anymore, and looking on back, and looking back on that and knowing that I felt that way makes me feel disgusting. Chug 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 a lug 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 chug a lug lug chug a lug lug. Oh boy. Alright, we are halfway. He followed me for years. Oh, you guys talking about theme parks, huh? I went to this really cool theme park thing called Reaper's Revenge this year. It's in Pennsylvania, and it was sick. It was like basically a hayride, a haunted hayride thing, but it was so long, and just basically it started off like with different movie sets and stuff that you would go through, and it was just like really high quality, and the whole thing must have taken over an hour. And we got fast passes, which I'm happy about, because the line to wait, like normal line, just looked like it sucked a ton of butt. But yeah, I just remember like the first one was like out in the woods. There was like a well that they built to look like the Ring well, and like lights coming up, and then a freaking the Ring girl like climbed out of it, and then came into our hay ride. It was creepy. But anyways, at one point you kind of like actually like the ride's over, and it starts like forcing people like as if the ride's broken or something like that, and we have to exit early. And then it's like a walk-through area, and just like the first one is like a fake security dude, and he just does a bunch of creepy stuff. And I don't know, they put a lot of work into it, and I thought they did really well. And also when you walk in, it's like they're playing like "Don't Fear the Reaper," do 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 do, yeah, and it's just like I love that song. Oh yeah, I've been to Kennywood. Samantha, can we get rain sound effects? Probably not. Mainly just because, like, believe it or not, if I put rain sound effects in videos, it gets like copywritten. Like that's how freaking sophisticated the algorithm is. But also, like, someone else may have already used those sound effects or whatever, and then it gets confused and like thinks that they have the that they have the rights to that, and then you get claimed, and then you gotta like argue it, and it just like cuts into revenue, and it's just really annoying. Venikins with the 2 says Ripley from Alien equals new Disney princess. Honestly, I would like that. I don't know. Maybe we don't need any princesses at all, since they don't really exist anymore. Maybe they do. I'm sure they're somewhere. We need a suicide bomber princess, but like one with like a Japanese one with like a kamikaze plane, and the whole movie is just her reflecting back on her love life as she's about to give her life for the motherland of Japan. Alright guys, let's go sell that to Disney. I think they're on board. I guess I could do rain during the actual streams, though. Let me see here, real quick. Let's see, 10 hours of flippin' rain. Make this a 10-hour stream. Oh, that's loud. Can you guys hear it? Does it sound like rain, or does it just sound like static? And is it too loud or not loud enough? Oh yeah, Samantha, if you have some rain to record or send it, you know, I'm not sure how you'd send, I guess you send the file over email or something like that. Okay. Yeah, let's leave this rain sounds on. I like that. I'm gonna fall asleep to my own voice. Is it like super loud, or is it... I think it sounds like rain. Okay. Purple Rain. Yeah. Let's do it. If it gets too much, you know, just let me know. Purple rain is in the sky. Yeah, Spooky. Actually, is that on your actual YouTube channel? Thomas Fries, $2 says, the rain sounds like bacon frying. Yeah. I'm gonna hold off on the rain noises, actually. For some reason, it did actually... It sounded more like a white noise, like flutter, than an actual rain. Perhaps you could open up 2 tabs and open up a rain tab or something like that. I actually do that a lot, where I have like music going in one tab on a YouTube tab, then like someone talking about something in another YouTube tab, and then like watching video game gameplay in a whole nother tab, so they got like 3 different videos going all at once. Delicious bacon rain is good. Don't fear the reaper. I started taking extracurricular drama classes when I was 12. We had a small class of about 6 or so. The eldest boy in the class was about 14. I'll call him X. I never felt comfortable around X. He was much larger than me. Think of a very large boy in a leather jacket, which he always reminded us of was... I've ruined the ASMR sound. Wonder if anybody, yeah, there's a ton of YouTube videos with rain. Kind of funny. Imagine if your whole YouTube channel was just straight up, we're just a rain channel. Pretty sweet. I remember back whenever I was trying to figure out, like, also, no, there it is. Oh boy. Babe, I could never steal you from another. I only want to get you laughing in the purple rain, purple rain. Oh. Oh, is Purple Rain like a... What's his name? Prince? Is that the... What am I thinking of? Oh, Purple Haze. I'm an idiot. Okay. Purple Haze! Ah. Okay. I never felt comfortable around X. He was much larger than me. Think of a very large boy in a leather jacket, which he always reminded us was real leather. And he was always doing a fake Russian accent and pretending to choke people in our skirts. What? In our skits? The fuck? And he was always doing a fake Russian accent and pretending to choke people in our skits. Thus, I didn't go out of my way to speak with him. He took a particular interest with me and would try to speak with me about everything that he had done since last time he saw me. I didn't like being around him. He was off-putting for some reason. I would complain to my mother all the time about how I found him creepy, and she found it amusing. As the years went by and our class got larger, he would still try and talk to me quite a bit every lesson. However, things only got worse. It started when I noticed that he would follow me around the room. We did these exercises where we would do different styles of walking, such as we would run like our baby buggy had started rolling down the hill. Once I noticed that Cashy, I already talked about it, you missed it. What the fuck? Once I noticed he was always behind me, I would start to do crazy random patterns to try and lose him. I never did. I thought this was odd, but I found it a bit funny. I was only 13 at this point. I again would complain to my mother, and she suggested that he had a crush on me. God, I got caught up on that shit. I again would complain to my mother, and she suggested that he had a crush on me. I soon noticed that he would try and sit and stand as close as possible to me. If he was already sitting down and I chose to sit somewhere else, he would stand up and move to where I was. I was starting to get really unsettled around him by this point, but I thought he would stop eventually. He only ever did small things like this, and I didn't think anything was seriously wrong. Then we got to the start of last year. By this point, I had a boyfriend, though I hadn't publicly... I was 16 and he was 18. Alright, then we started. How do I lose it so fast? We only ever did small things. There's wrong. Then we get to the start of last year. Okay. By this point, I had a boyfriend, though I hadn't publicly said this to my drama group because why would I have? I was 16 and X was 18. My mother had started to drop me off half an hour early at drama because she had to get ready for work. I was fine with it, as I had time to do some reading on my own. That was before X had realized that I was coming early on my own. X started to arrive even before I did. My mom's car would drive up and I would see him patrolling. I'm serious when I say this. He would walk up and down the street watching for my car to arrive. When he saw me, he would then walk up to the door to my drama class and hold it open, waiting for me. It filled me with dread to see this, but my mother brushed off my complaints and said he was just being nice. I would have to wait alone with X for at least another 15 minutes every week. We would sit on a bench and I made sure I sat with a wall on one side of me and my bag on the other so he couldn't touch me. By this point I had grown quite afraid of him. He had a tendency to get angry and had recently yelled at a group of students for not thanking him when he held the door open for them. Then one day, he attempted to ask me out. He was all stuttery and was clearly trying to ask me something, and I knew immediately what he was trying to do. I begged for someone to arrive, and funnily enough, my boyfriend arrived and X was interrupted. I wasn't out of the woods yet, though. Due to drama exams, we started to have 2 classes a week. I was fine with the second class as my mother did not have to work, but I was still stuck seeing him. I didn't tell anyone that I thought X was trying to ask me out, as I had no proof that he was, and I thought people would think I was silly. The following drama lesson, he did ask me out, and I tried to gently reject him. I was slightly relieved because he just went silent before another classmate arrived. This just made things worse. He started to come really close to me in class and would shove himself in between anyone I was sitting next to. When I would talk to a friend, he would stand directly behind them, watching me, waiting for an opportunity to speak to me. I was utterly terrified. The pinnacle of this was the day of our drama exam. His exam was 2 hours before mine, yet he was there when I arrived for mine. Once mine was over and I went to leave, he followed right behind me. I sprinted down the road to the train station to get home, and he was right behind me. I don't know how long he followed me for, but I hid in the girls' bathroom at the station for about a half hour. I worked up the courage to tell my drama teacher, who subsequently called his horrified mother. His mother knew what was happening and was just about to call my drama teacher. X had told her that we were all going out for lunch when the exams were over, yet another person's mum had told her we weren't. Thus, she parked her car near the exam and waited to see what was going on. She saw me, looking hysterical, running down the road. X had already told her of my rejection. I don't know when she confronted X or what she said, or even how long X was following me before his mother stopped him. Our next drama class was 3 days after the exam and 2 days after I told my drama teacher. My teacher arranged an intervention between me, X, and his mother. I was pulled out of drama to talk to them. His mother apologized to me and thanked me for not calling the police, as he was an adult and could have been charged. I don't recall much of the conversation as I was in such a state at the time, but I do remember X calling me the most stunningly beautiful girl that he had ever met, and that I was wonderful. He apparently thought that he could get me to break up with my boyfriend before the end of the term. The one sentence that has stuck with me was his mum telling me that he would apologize to my parents at the parents' evening, the last night of term, where we would show off our skills to the parents, which happened to be the following week, for the grievous harm he imposed upon my family. He and his mum left. I stayed as far away from him as the parents' evening. I need to get like a nice pair of shoes. Just like the most comfy shoes of all freaking time. The one sentence that has stuck with me was his mum telling me that he would God damn it. Sorry. I like forget a syllable. Cashy with the 28 Canadian maple syrup dollars. She says, laugh my ass off. I just learned the move you donate, the more you can type. Oh, that's interesting. Well, thank you, Cashy. You are a generous creature. Cashy was there even when I was playing video games, guys. She's been there. She's been there. During the hard times of me playing video games. Jess is comfy. It's good to hear. Mariana Barobio said, read my UFO story. Well, that just is absolutely perfect because I don't know where that story is. But you should absolutely either send that to my email. Well, please send it to the subreddit. Mark it as paranormal or something of that nature and put UFO story in the top because we're currently trying to compile some UFO stuff, UFO stories together to be used. Spartan has written a script for the beginning that kind of goes over the history of the phenomena of UFOs. Yeah, Cashy was even here. She's a member. It's such a weird thing to say on YouTube, like, I'm a member, you know what I mean? Because I really don't have much to offer anybody who's a member, you know, other than, like, a funny little thing. I just pointed to my screen that none of you can see. But on Cashy, she's got, like, my little avatar floating through space there that a friend drew. And cat bug, because I couldn't think of anything else to put as like something you get, so you get like a cat bug emoji, so that's pretty dope. Cat bug. UFO and Dogman. Is Dogman, what is Dogman? Is Dogman just pretty much werewolves? Is that just what it is? I need to finish this. The one sentence that has stuck with me was his mum telling me that he would apologize to my parents at the parents' evening, the last night of term where we would show off our skills to the parents, which happened to be the following week, for the grievous harm he imposed upon my family. He and his mum left. I stayed as far away from him at the parents' evening as possible. He apologized to my parents, but I did not stay to hear that, and have not seen him since. This is going to sound stupid, but I was rambling so much during that whole process. I was rambling so much during, like, that previous thing, like I was rambling a little bit, that I've completely forgotten what that kid even did to this girl to warrant that I never want to see him again. I don't know. I mean, obviously most of the stories end that way, so they kind of all blend together in my head, but it's just funny. I like just read it like half a second ago, and I have no idea what that kid did to get forever blocked, X'd out of her life. X. Nina Love with the 4 buckaroos says you have a good amount of content to offer. Well, thank you, Nina. As far as like membership goes, because like YouTube kind of has like these, you know, the membership things, which is very similar to like Twitch's subscriptions and the various tiers of subscriptions. But I don't really have like any I don't really know what would be good tiers per se. Perhaps I could get some people to create some avatars or something, and that would be or not avatars, but like emojis. But does anyone is emojis like does anybody here actually subscribe? Like the terminology would subscribe, that would be membership here. Does anyone subscribe to anybody on? Does anybody subscribe to any like Twitch people and like actually enjoy the emojis that they get? It's like some of the subscriptions on Twitch are like $25 a month, which I can understand if you're like supporting the creator and you just really, really like watching them play video games or whatever. But I don't really know if they like what, because I like really would like to offer something legitimate if people did join that, but I can't really think of anything on Patreon anyways. So it's like, if it's not on, honestly, the only thing I can think of on Patreon is the early access stuff, because that's like the only thing that I can like guarantee that I will efficiently like produce and be able to supply people with, you know what I mean? Robert Rodriguez with the 2 says, any recommendations for software to record with? Well, so I use an H4n microphone currently with a lapel mic on my body to for the streams. And now my H4n basically it has a memory stick inside of itself, so like every time I start and stop it creates a new file, and like that's burp number 3, and then I take all those files, like once I connect the USB and the microphone, it kind of acts like a drive, and then I a memory drive, and then I move all the files from that memory drive over into Sony Vegas and edit there. I think you can actually record using Sony Vegas, kind of like you can with Audacity, but I know a lot of like narrators starting out just use Audacity if they're directly connected to their computer, since it's a free program. But I don't know. Cause yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, like what would be a good program. But maybe you can look up some tutorials for how to use Audacity, because I think it's relatively simple. But as far as editing goes, I'm not really sure if it's as simple. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? Also, if you guys ever watch Ernest, like say Scared Stupid and Saves Christmas, like I just remembered that his dog's name is Rimshot. It's such a funny name for a dog. Rimshot. Hey, Rimshot. Oh my god, Richie, you subscribed to T-Series? Are you insane? Monte Carlo, you want to spoop your pants with this next spoopy story. Well, I can about guarantee you that I put something in your drink to help you accomplish that, so either way. His pants are getting spooped in. Okay. Oh, here we go. This one's called I'm Bad at Reading Red Flags. I wonder if that's similar to Six Flags. Or if there's like a story, like an old, you know, classic called Red Flags. Why did you sound exactly like Beetlejuice? It wasn't Beetlejuice, dude. It was, Ernest. Honestly, if you've never watched Ernest Saves... If you never watched Ernest Scared Stupid, you guys would love that. And you know what makes me really, really mad? Is that, like, I had a lot of hope for Medea. Like, I really, really had a lot of hope for Medea. As far as, like, being this sort of continuational character. That goes from, you know, movie to movie or whatever. But I had so much hope for Medea's Boo Halloween or some crap. And like oh my god, it was like, it was so bad. In Medea's Boo, and then they made a sequel because so many people went to see it. I'm fairly certain that I was like, I wanted people to go so bad to see Medea Boo with me that I paid for my roommate's tickets to go. And what a disappointment, man. Like, first off, like, there was this one room in their house. There was this one room in their house where, like, I guess Medea, like, as a character kind of started off as sort of like a theater thing, you know, like they were up on stage and they would just do improv or whatever, you know. But I mean, after the movies have been out for so long, and you know, Tyler Perry has, you know, made a ridiculous amount of money, you think like he would have put some like legitimate work into Medea's Boo. But literally, like, there was scenes for like 30 minutes where they would be in their living room sitting on the couch bickering at each other about, like, threatening to stab each other with pencils and stuff like that, and just going back and forth, but not actually saying anything that was like as if though they sat down and wrote it out, you know what I mean, and wrote like a funny script. And it was like it all felt like, you know, it all felt like that it was improv, and it just kept going on, and they never really, like, it was like this, the camera was just stationary, like they never changed angles really that much. It was just that room. And then sometimes they would go back to that room again, and the scene would be another 10-minute scene in this room, in this living room, and you just wanted to gouge your eyeballs out because you're like, you know, you so badly just wanted like another Ernest Scared Stupid or something like that. But instead you got something that was like, they put a bunch of like, they had YouTubers in it. I forget the famous YouTubers that are in it, and then it looked like it was filmed by like the Disney originals. You ever watch the Disney originals, like Brink and those kind of movies? Like, this was worse than Brink. Like, worse than Brink. It might as well have been Medea's stuck in this room, and then they also, like, the clown phase was going on, so they had to like pigeonhole the clown fit. It was the worst movie of all time. And then they made a sequel, and I honestly almost went to see that. I was almost tricked into that, but I didn't fall for it. But Ernest greater than Medea. That's long story short. This first started when I went to a summer camp in my junior year of high school, and I met this girl. Her name is Mar. I introduced myself to Mar, and then for the rest of the 6 weeks, I probably talked to her a total of 3 times, which includes my introduction, the time she locked me and my friend into a room, and when I said goodbye when the camp ended. She seemed really nice. Okay, shoot. This one, I already read this one as well. Okay, I'm bad at reading red flag. Okay, so it was the Russian regret, the night I nearly got okay, yeah. Wait, thrown into a bomb for the clothes. Oh, Russian catfish type. Pervy guy at work and a useless HR department. Sounds about right. Oh, this is an epic one. Alright, which one was that? Not seen him since. Okay, so this one's called Pervy Guy at Work and a Useless HR Department. And it's an epic length one, and it's got some pretty good uptokes, so we should be good. "17 or so years ago, I worked IT for the large local hospital in my city. We also provided IT services to 7 other smaller towns. We also provided IT services to 7 other smaller hospitals and towns across the whole of our county and the neighboring county. My job was to build, install, and fix computers and provide support, in person and via phone and email, to our 6,000 users. It was an incredibly stressful job, made even worse because I was the only person in the IT staff who lived in the city where the main hospital was located, so I was often on call after business hours too. When I began here, I was straight out of university and very, very young, as I had graduated high school much younger than most kids do. I was also very shy and rather anxious. While I was unquestionably geeky and awkward, I'm autistic, high-functioning autism, so my social awareness and skills are rather poor, and I find social contact shite. And I find social contact of any sort intensely uncomfortable. Remember this, as it has bearing on what happened. I was still young and reasonably cute. I would never have been called beautiful, as I was plain and a little bit overweight, but I was cute. I dress in loose, baggy, masculine clothing and do not wear makeup at all, despite being female, as I have sensory problems that make fitted clothing and the oily feel and scent of cosmetics very hard to tolerate. Not exactly a runway model. I was in my very early 20s when this happened, but my shyness and immature social skills made me seem more like a young teen than an adult. I'm also asexual, someone who does not experience sexual attraction or sexual needs, so I choose not to date. The hospital where I worked was going through some repairs and upgrades, and one of these being the replacement of the antiquated HVAC system in the main building on the hospital campus. They brought in a major company to assess the hospital's needs, choose an appropriate system, and install it. This meant that one of the representatives from that company would be present at the hospital daily. He was given an office beside that, belonging to the head of the hospital maintenance, and I was directed to get him a computer and set him up on the network. When I got to this office and began installing the computer, things started getting weird. This was the first time I had even met the man, who I will call Andrew here for the sake of my own safety and privacy. This guy was at least 20 years older than I was. Rather reedy-looking dude to be... What? Reedy? Rather reedy-looking... Oh, okay. This guy was at least 20 years older than I was. A rather reedy-looking... Fuck. This guy was at least 20 years older than I was. God damn it, my throat. Bum 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 bum. This guy was at least 20 years older than I was. Rather reedy looking, due to being very tall and quite thin, and very average in appearance. Your typical forgettable middle-aged man. But he would not take his eyes off of me. Being autistic, I am naturally very uncomfortable with eye contact, especially the prolonged sort, and this man was just openly staring at me as I worked. He introduced himself as Andrew X and began asking me innocent, work-related questions, but these soon morphed into very personal inquiries that had nothing to do with work, like asking where I lived, whether I had a boyfriend, that sort of thing. I told him that I lived in the same city as the hospital, but not exactly where, as I actually lived right across the road from the hospital, and didn't want him knowing that. I lied and told him that I had a long-term boyfriend too. Any question that veered in that direction of dating or romance got a curt, uninviting, bald-faced lie as an answer. I was getting very uncomfortable at this point, but I didn't react as I would. Nowadays, I would tell a guy asking that sort of question that it was none of their business and inform him that he was being inappropriate and I wanted it to stop or I would complain to HR. But back then, I was very uncertain, petrified of confrontation, and afraid to... But back then, I was very uncertain, petrified of confrontation, and afraid to make any sort of complaint about anything, so I just kept working. I ended up having to sit down at his desk to install the correct software exit. Wait, this is a repeat story? I don't think this is a repeat story. I've never heard this one. Okay, like literally just started a couple, oh, sorry, talking to them, okay. I don't know, David, your body's ready? Alright, let's kick this off. Complain to HR. Back then, I was very uncertain, petrified of confrontation, and afraid to make any sort of complaint about anything, so I just kept working. I ended up having to sit down at his desk to install the correct software accesses, and while I was seated, he walked up behind me. I thought, he's just watching what I'm doing to the access. He's just watching what I'm doing to access the programs he needs. Nope. He put his hands on my shoulders and began to massage them. I froze, stiffening up. "You're stiff as a board," he said as he kept kneading my shoulders, all full of knots. Yeah, well, if I hadn't already been tense and bothered by his intrusive questions, I most certainly was after he began touching me. It is very common for autistic people to deeply dislike being touched. I tried to squirm out of his grasp, afraid to tell him to stop directly, as we were in a rather secluded, untraveled part of the hospital's basement, and I was afraid to make a scene and anger him. I hurried through getting everything done, told him to call our help desk if he needed any other help, and practically ran out of his office. I should have told HR right there and then, but I didn't. It was creepy, yeah, but I didn't think HR would be any help. It was so borderline, I thought, just treading the edge of inappropriate. I did tell my boss that Andrew made me uncomfortable, but my boss forgot about it nearly immediately. Fast forward a couple of weeks, I was working in the medical imaging department, installing some terminals in the CT scan suite. I was visible from the hallway. Andrew passed, walking with two men from building maintenance. As soon as he saw me, he began loudly telling his companions that I was cute, pretty, sexy, smart, laying it on thick. He walked past again, and goodness gracious, this music loud as fuck, dude. I don't understand that. It like just suddenly like takes off, like. Was it too loud for you guys, or was it like okay? Like I'm wondering, because I don't want it to like blow anybody's ears out while we're just trying to like chill and shit. Laying it on thick. He walked past again and again, loudly praising me and saying he wanted to date me every time he went by. The two men he was with knew me a little, and I could tell that they were bothered and embarrassed by this guy's inappropriate behavior. Finally, I finished up and ran back to the safety of my own department. Another week passed and I was heading home late. I was using the underground tunnel between the main building and a smaller one used for solely administrative offices. It's a long tunnel, passing below a busy road, and I often took this route going home, as the smaller building was very close to my apartment complex. I heard someone call my name and turned to find Andrew hurrying to catch up to me. It was after hours and the corridor was otherwise totally empty. I did not want him finding out that I lived right beside the hospital. I turned and ran, hearing him call my name over and over again. Being younger, I was faster, and I managed to find a good hiding spot inside the administrative building without him knowing where I had gone. I had hidden myself in a network hub closet behind the tall rack of networking equipment. I had locked the door behind me, thankfully, as I heard him walk up that hallway, trying the doorknobs of locked offices, calling my name as he proceeded. He jiggled the doorknob of the door of the hub closet as he went by. I remained there, silent and still, long after I heard his last yell. After I was sure he had gone, I snuck out and raced home. Things calmed down for a bit after that. A few months went by without... A few months went by without me having any contact with him, though I still saw him around the halls of the hospital more often than I thought I should. I vaguely wondered if he was trying to follow me, but there was nothing conclusive enough to prove it one way or the other. Then came the scariest part. I was working in a part of the hospital that had been patients' rooms, but was being remade into offices. I had to pull network drops into these offices to allow computers to access the network. I lost track of time while I worked, and the other people working there with me, the painters and the men setting up the new desks, went home without me noticing. Eventually, I was completely alone. When I happened to glance at my watch, it was almost 6:30 in the evening. I usually left at 5:30, packed up my tools, and left the room where I had been working. I stepped out into the long hallway, tired and thinking about what I would make for supper. I hadn't gone very far when I heard footsteps approaching and looked up. There was Andrew, hurriedly walking towards me. I hoped that if I switched to the other side of the hallway, he'd rush on past, as he did seem to be hurrying. No such luck. He veered over to me, grabbed me hard by the biceps, and forced me up against a wall. He then proceeded to pin me there with his whole body while he groped my breasts hard, easily pushing away my hands as I punched and slapped, trying to get him off of me. For a thin man, he was surprisingly strong. He leaned down so that his face was close to mine, and I thought in horror, God, no, he's going to kiss me. So I twisted my neck and turned my face as far from his fetid breath as was possible. Instead, he growled into my ear, "Normal girls like it when guys want them. Normal girls let guys date them." All the while, I was yelling, "No, no, no." Finally, my brain got itself out of frozen mode and I became angry. I shoved him hard, and once I had enough space to make the move, I kneed him hard in the groin. He doubled over, wheezing and moaning, and I ran and locked myself into one of the rooms I had been working in. The doors were solid hardwood and the locks were strong, and I knew I would be safe despite him starting to pound and kick the door. Only one problem. I had no way to call for help. I didn't carry the on-call phone during the day, didn't own my own mobile phone, and back then, mobile phones were not allowed into hospitals anyway, and none of the rooms that were being renovated into offices had telephones installed yet. I was trapped, and my only way to call for help would be opening the window and yelling out. Meanwhile, Andrew continued pounding and kicking the door, screaming insults and entreaties. 5 minutes passed, then 10, and he was still beating and battering the door, slamming hard against it with his full weight. I began to fear that I might be trapped there for all night. with him on the other side of the door trying to break in. I don't know what finally made him give up. Maybe he heard someone approaching or something. Suddenly the yelling and banging at the door stopped completely and I was left in breathless silence. I remained there, listening at the door, trying to detect the telltale rustle of clothing or squeak of a shoe that would tell me that he was still there waiting for me to open the door. Nothing. Just sweet, lovely, safe silence. I slowly undid the lock, then inched the door open and peered out. No one. He was gone. I knew he might be hiding out of my view in another office, but I had to do something. I couldn't just hole up in an office for the next 14 or so hours. Knowing it was a risk, I bolted for the stairwell and raced down to my department. I felt safe there as my workspace was in the code access controlled server room, and my only coworker and I knew the combination needed to get in. Only one person was still in the department, the woman who handled the help desk calls. I began to cry the second I saw her, and she frantically asked what was wrong. She held my hands as I told her what had just happened, and she was the one who convinced me to report Andrew to HR. I knew that HR would be empty at that hour, so I sent an email rather than calling. Then I went home and became a little ball of tears, worry, anxiety, and horrified nausea. I called in sick the next day. The HR staff called me at home that afternoon and reiterated all I had already told them in my email. How he had been kind of inappropriate from day one and how things had escalated so horribly. The HR director asked me to come in and write out a formal complaint form, which I did. Because Andrew didn't work directly for the hospital itself, it was difficult for HR to handle this, I guess. They did contact the company he worked for, and he was not fired or even transferred to some other client site. He was given a tiny slap on the wrist and told to never come near me or attempt to communicate with me in any way. I still had to see this guy at work nearly every day, and I felt very unsafe when my tasks took me away from my busy areas. This added to the stress of the job, and I began to suffer from stress-related medical problems like migraines, depression, and anxiety. I felt very unsupported and unprotected by HR too. About 18 months after that event, I quit that job. Well, we made it through that pretty goodly. Oh, I'm so sore, dude. Freaking did that jogging thing like 2 days ago, and my calves are still killing me. Your mom is here for ghost stories, so you unfortunately have gotten the wrong day. Probably ghost stories either next time, maybe Thursday or Monday's video. Addison Kirkpatrick says, have you seen Corpse Husband's Instagram story? I listened to a story you did with him a while back. He is not doing very well. I haven't gotten to listen to all of it, but I heard something to do with compression within his arms and carpal tunnel and that kind of thing. So it's really sad to hear. But definitely send Corpse some good vibes and maybe pray for him if you'd like, and just you know, hit him up, let him know you appreciate his work and stuff. He's a really good guy, and I just feel bad he's been going through all these issues. Charlie says, I'll be better if it was a call-in show where people tell their stories live themselves. That would be interesting. Would be kind of a fun change-up of things. Wait, what, Spooky, what are you talking about? A shoe? Something about a shoe? We got 3 stories left. They are of relative length. Decent length. That's what she said. I thought about getting my friends in on like a Discord call, and basically like as I read a story or make a mistake, I would stop and they could chime in with like little quips about stuff while they were doing their thing, or like at the end of the story they could give some like sort of you know, feedback on what they thought of the story. Yeah, I gotta lube my lips. That's what I'm looking for a sponsor. I need a personal Let's Read lube sponsor. Got real butter in it. Vaseline with cocoa butter. Monte Carlo, you've made 2 Gs selling art. That's pretty awesome. Does this art all yourself? So this next one should be interesting. It's called The Amusement Park Creep. Oh, Burt's Bees. Honestly, I hate Burt's Bees, like, when it comes to lip lube anymore, because it's just like, anytime I use it, your lips don't stay moist very long. Like, literally, I feel like within seconds of using Burt's Bees, you feel like you have to use it again. But if you use something with like a Vaseline base, such as this fine vessel of Aquifer that I use, the Advanced Therapy Healing Ointment, it's like your lips stay lubed for so long. It's a beautiful thing. Also, you can get like smaller ones. You don't have to get like a big you don't have to get like a big tube of it, or like a entire barrel full of Vaseline grease that you can just glob up into your face. That would be nice though. Yeah. Carmex, I don't know. Honestly, if it's not Vaseline based, you know what I'm saying? Like, this, it's just ain't me. It just ain't me. I need Vaseline. I need that Aquifer. I need that Advanced Therapy. Otherwise, I just ain't messing with it. I ain't messing with it, you know what I'm saying? I'm 19 years old, 18 at the time. I work at a small amusement park arcade in a semi-rural area which generally will have a good amount of people. This happened during our summer season, so we were open until 9 p.m., but we generally only have at most 10 families, around 6:30 to 7. I mostly work outside as a ride attendant, so I get a lot of customer interaction from people all the time and don't usually think much of it. I had come into work at around 3 p.m., and my day was going normally. At around 3:30, I was running one of the roller coasters, which has a big box for the operator to run the ride from. These 2 kids show up. One looked about 8 years old, and the other was about 15 or so. They seemed very sweet and very funny, so I was just enthusiastically telling them the rules and just being as kind as I possibly could so they could enjoy themselves. As soon as the ride would finish, they run from the exit right back into line to go again, which isn't unusual because I get the kids that do that all the time. Sometimes I'll even have kids who will do it over and over again for an hour or more. Soon enough, they stopped riding and waved me off as they ran to some other wides. They ran to with some other wides. Use spray butter, it's fast. Just spray it on my face. Oh yeah, we need to get some lip lube designs going. I do need some updated designs. Alright, what the fuck? These two kids, some bullshit. Where are they at? Okay. Soon enough, they stopped riding. Okay. Soon enough, they stopped riding and waved me off as they ran to some other rides to have fun. At some point afterwards, one of my coworkers came up to switch positions with me and sent me off to the Tilt-A-Whirl, another ride we have. As I'm walking down, I see from a distance a man in a black shirt standing at our gem mining station. It's just a smallish water tower that constantly releases water so kids can sift through sand and get cool rocks and such. He was just holding his hand in the water, so I was going to ignore him as I made my way to the ride. As I'm getting closer, he looks me up and down and asks for my name. I couldn't lie about it, obviously, since I had a name tag on, so I just told him. He then proceeds to say, "Do you think I can see you later tonight?" To which I respond, "No." I walked away to the ride I was operating and told a coworker about what happened. We laughed it off as if it were nothing, and I sent him on his way to the ride he had to run. Not even 5 minutes later, the guy shows up to my ride with the two kids who I let on the roller coaster I was previously running. I'm of course not looking forward to letting him on, but I toughed it out since the kids were just trying to enjoy themselves. They walked up to the entrance of the ride, and I asked the man if he could hold the fence door open as I scanned his wristband. The fence door opens inward and the scanner is on the opposite side. So I ask customers to hold it open so I don't block them as they try to get to the ride. He responds with, "Of course, I'll do anything for you, whatever you want." As I scanned their wristbands, the scanners showed that they had run out of credits, so I made sure to tell them. The younger kid with him looked upset, so I told them that they could get on the ride this one time and that they could just go talk to the front counter after. I put them on and explained the rules of the ride and ran it as usual. The entire time that the ride was running, I noticed the man was staring at me. He never let his eyes off of me, so I tried my hardest to avoid his gaze. I tried not to seem alarmed because his kids were in other carts joking around and making funny faces and gestures at me, trying to make me laugh, so I just pretended I didn't notice the man. Once the ride finished, the youngest kid stood up and said he wanted to go again. I felt bad for him, and since there wasn't any people in line, I told him he could go on again. The older kid felt dizzy, so he just got off the ride while the man and younger child stayed on. I ran it again and noticed the man was still not letting his gaze off of me. Toward the end of the ride, I saw he was lifting up his lap bar, so I told him to leave it down. It acts as a second brake to slow down individual carts. Later, once the ride came to a stop, I looked over at him to tell him about the front counter, only to notice that he had put his hand in his pants to make his crotch more noticeable. I was highly disturbed, of course, because I was literally not trying to be forced to look at some dude's excited phase. I quickly made sure they left and just avoided looking at the man the entire time. Later, once I had no more customers, I made sure to go to my supervisor at the time. I explained to her what happened, but she didn't know what the guy looked like, just what his older son looked like. As I was telling her, she saw the older son in the parking lot leaving, so we assumed that they were gone for good at that point, and we sort of went back to normal working. I was still on edge because I was super uncomfortable, but I just talked to my coworkers to pass the time. At around 6 or so, my supervisor asked me to take cardboard. I don't know why I always say cupboard. Yes, everyone commenting should click the like button and turn on post notifications by smacking the poop out of that bell. Just shake that bell, dudes. Shake that bell, my dudes. At around 6 or so, my supervisor asked me to take cardboard down to the dumpster. I went down alone, so there weren't many people nearby. The dumpster is sort of close to some rides, so you could see what was going on from other points of the park. As I'm throwing away cardboard, I noticed a figure walking down toward the dumpsters and see that it's the same guy from earlier. He had come back to the park again. I start to freak out because I didn't have a walkie-talkie on me, and there wasn't anyone nearby to do anything. He kept walking closer and closer, eyeballing me every so often as I internally start panicking and get increasingly nervous. I thought in that moment that I was going to be kidnapped, and I didn't even know what to do. Thankfully, my supervisor saw him from a distance and started speed walking in my direction. She walked right past him before he could get to me, and he did a double take and just stood there as if he was... She walked da-ba-da-da. She walked right past him before he could get to me, and he did a double take and just stood there as if he wasn't walking toward me. She walked me back up and told me that she didn't know if it was that guy. What the fuck? She walked me back up and told me that she didn't know if that was the guy, but didn't want to leave me there alone. She switched me to another ride and said she'd make sure he didn't follow me around. She had told some other coworkers about what happened, and a coworker from... I'm gonna throw myself in front of a roller coaster. Just kidding. Where am I? She switched me to the blah blah blah. She walked me back. She switched me to another ride and said she'd make sure he didn't follow me around. She had told some other coworkers about what happened, and a coworker from before made sure to stay near me because the guy kept lingering at some areas, looking at me and trying to be near me when he thought my guard was down. Every time my coworkers thought he was getting too close, they'd stand near me to make sure he left me alone. At some point, his youngest kid came to the ride I was operating, and he stayed on until closing time came about, so the guy was nearby for a lot of the time. Toward closing, I was offered... oh, okay. Oh. Toward closing, god damn it. Toward closing, I was offered a ride home from a coworker because he didn't want me to be alone walking to the parking lot. As we go outside, we sit on the stairs with some other coworkers and notice this car that was still in the parking lot, even though at that point we had been closed for about 45 minutes. The guy was still there, with his family and everything, just lingering. There were no other cars in the customer parking except for them, so I assumed that this dude had to have some of his own family involved because he was just waiting there. I can't see any other reason he'd be there. It felt too coincidental. I can't see any other reason he'd be there. It felt too coincidental that his family so happened to stay later than they had to. I kept nervously looking over and looking to see what he was doing, and he was just staring in a direction as he just sat there while his family was doing some other stuff. Thankfully, at some point they had left, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable at the thought of it, as if I was just completely alone. Shit, what does that even say? Uncomfortable at the thought of if I was just... Okay. Thankfully, at some point they had left, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable at the thought of if I was just completely alone when I left. I'm so glad I have some responsible and caring coworkers because if not, I have no idea what would have happened. That's really creepy, but like, be creeping on some chick and... Oh, my family's here with me too. Hope you don't mind them. They can come on the date too. Ashley says, I have to say thank you. I listen to you daily when I have any time to myself, which isn't much, but it helps me very much to unwind. Thank you, Ashley. I'm glad I can be of service to ye and everybody. Alright, we got 2 more stories. This one called Russian Catfish Stalker. And the last one, The Night I Nearly Got Thrown into a Bonfire. Miss Molly, welcome. You're kind of on the tail end of the stream though, but we got 2 good ones kicking off here for you. Let me assume the position. The reader's position. The reader's creed. I will always read everything that's in front of me, regardless of my moral standing. I know this is really long, but there's also not really any way of shortening this story. I'm not even sure how... Oh, fuck. It's like a bunch of erroneous details here. I'm not even sure how to start this off, but here's a little background. I've had my Instagram... Okay. I've had my Instagram for about 5 years. I post pretty simple photos, ones of me, and I'm a photographer and an artist, so a good amount of pictures that I take as well. I don't have a large following on Instagram, so I don't have a large following on Instagram, so considering this started about 4 years ago, I probably had about 2,000 followers, and most of them were friends, family, or friends of friends. One day I posted a screenshot on my private Instagram of someone random viewing my story. I'm not sure what the context was, but it doesn't really matter. Soon after, a friend of mine pointed out that one of the Instagram accounts that was viewing my story had a profile picture that was a photo of my friend, so I immediately went to their account. When I went on their account, I noticed that all of the pictures were ones screenshotted from my account, and I immediately started freaking out. They went by a kind of Russianized version of my name and had around 1,000 followers. I was totally baffled. This account didn't last that long and was receiving probably more activity than my own account was. I was confused, but I also knew that that was what happened when you have a public Instagram, and some catfish isn't going to ruin my life, so I reported the account and moved on. Soon after, I started getting messages from random Instagram accounts that all seemed to be coming from Russia. They would send me messages and screenshots of different accounts. They also seemed to be Russian, of people pretending to be me. I started to panic more as I knew that not only was it not just one person, but that many people knew about it and genuinely thought that I was a completely different person than I was. I kept reporting these accounts and they would mysteriously delete and then show up under new names. But at this point, my Instagram account was blocked by pretty much all of my catfish accounts. I logged into my friend's Instagram and noticed tagged photos of this catfish of me. Drawings. Many drawings. People drawing me, who they totally thought was some random Russian girl. There was a Twitter account, a YouTube account, a VK, Russian-based social media account, a Facebook account, all under this fake name and using photos of me. I finally got a lot of the accounts deleted and felt relieved. Then, probably about 6 months later, I got another message on Instagram from some other random Russian account telling me to... Oops. Samantha, with the 5, says, do you collect records? Record Store Day is Saturday, so it celebrates the indie record stores. Last year I got a Mitch Hedberg vinyl. That's pretty awesome. I have about 3 vinyls. One of them is Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots by the Flaming Lips. Another is Vesuvius by Sufjan Stevens. And my most recent one I got was Trishasla by Secede, and they're just bands that I just, and albums that I've just, well, Vesuvius isn't my favorite album from Sufjan Stevens, but at the time I just really wanted to support him, so I bought his album when it came out on vinyl. But yeah, I don't have a record player. I would be interested in it, it'd be cool, but all of them are still kind of in their packaging as well, sort of just as collector's items. Oh, Spooky says the Bonfire one's a repeat. Okay. Alright. Where was it? One day I tried to log into my Oh, okay. Then, probably about 6 months later, I got another message on Instagram from some other random Russian account sending me to yet another fake profile pretending to be me. The first thing that stuck out to me was the fact that they had a photo of my mom and I from when I was a baby. A photo that was only available on my mom's Facebook, which is not public. I panicked, reported the account, and told all my friends to do the same. Then I got curious and started wondering who these people were that were finding and sending these accounts. I went deep back into my Instagram DMs and found that those accounts were now also catfishes of me. I don't know what part of me thought that it would be a good idea to message them, but I did. I ended up having a very odd conversation with them where they told me that they used photos of me because I look like them, and they were self-conscious. They even said that they show their family photos of me and pretend it's them. One day, I tried to log into my Instagram and it said that someone in Russia had made numerous attempts to change my password. It was insane. Basically, I'll save the time and effort and say that this went on for another 3 years, happening randomly about every 6 months. Finally, there was one account made using my own name. I was so furious and had completely given up. A few of my friends messaged them and told them to delete their account. They DM'd me and apologized in broken English and then decided that they were going to turn the account into a fan page. Again, weird. I even got to a point where I was considering calling up the producers of Catfish or something, literally anything. The fan page was running for probably 3 months, but it seems to me that they have deleted it. I still got weird messages from Russian accounts that seem too similar to the others, but don't feel as freaked out by it. This whole situation sucks because I was never directly threatened or put in a situation in which I felt like my life was in serious danger, so I couldn't go to the police. But there were definitely times when I felt like I was being watched too closely for someone who was not famous or anything near it. Not really sure how to end this because it probably never will end, but I have a Russian catfish stalker. Boo Boo Xmas. Medea's Boo Boo Xmas. It cost them $3,000 to make the movie. It cost about, or they made like $1 trillion back. And they tricked Let's Read into paying for his friends to see it, and it was trash. Do 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 do. Medea Boo, Medea Boo. Oh wait, okay, a little back. So, Spooky, this is a. This one is a repeat, but I don't feel like maybe I do recognize the title. Let me see. For a bit of background before I tell the story, this place is where the Holiday Resort, about 2 hours away from where I live. I've been going there every summer for years, and so do many of my friends from home. The area isn't too big. It consists of a few housing estates, some better off than others, and some restaurants, a bar, and grocery stores. The main attraction is the beach and golf course. If you don't play golf and don't do any water sports, then as a 15-year-old teenager, the only thing there is to do is get drunk with friends in the night. I fell into this category. Obviously, we were all minors, so we'd drink on the beach when no adults were out. Nearly every teenager kid did this. The golf course, as I mentioned earlier. I don't know why I'm not I'm like vaguely recognizing this. As soon as I realized they weren't tailing me anymore, I sat against a wall and just began crying. Oh, yeah. Oh, I do remember this one now. It's like the bullies, the guys that stalked him and were gonna... Okay. Okay. That's okay. Where was the next one? Almost thrown into a bonfire. Pervy, okay. Pervy guy at HR. This guy stalked me at work for months. For months, my boss. Okay. Yeah. Let's give it a whirl. Oh, this one's a highly Yeet-haw, boys. This is the last story on the list. You guys are gonna have to start thinking about oh, that's okay, Spooky, no worries. I just want to make sure that I don't repeat any here. But these ones are good though. This has got like 1.7k uptokes, internet points. Alright, the guy stalked me at work for months. My boss thought it was cute. Nice. It's almost like a too long didn't read title. It's kind of funny. Alright, quick lubing of the throat. You used to think I sounded like Travis Sorry, Travis Barker from Blink-182. Is that that's the drummer, right? With all the tattoos and stuff. Chelsea with the 2 says, "Have you had a chance to read any of my 3 stories?" I don't think so. Are they in story time on? Because I don't really read stuff on, or I haven't really made an effort to read stuff from the Discord stuff, so you probably have a better chance at getting it read by it being on like the subreddit, the Let's Read Official subreddit. But thank you for the 2. Also, I don't know if I mean, I guess Spooky's still here in the mod. Maybe we can, people who are mods on Discord can find their favorite stories or best stories from the Spooky Time or Scary Story Time channel on the Discord and get that, maybe we can put those onto the subreddit. Chelsea, why are you seem angry? Angry that your story has not been received. We got your weirdo MJ with the 2 says, may I have your permission to animate your videos? You might have my permission to do that if you show me what you can do first. I need if you guys want to check out, is your stuff on your channel right now? You guys can go check him out and tell me if he's legit animator. I'm looking for top tier. Oh, okay. Sorry, Chelsea. I thought well, I'm always like, some people, you know how it is. The internet people get crazy, dude. Like, I don't read someone's story or something like that. They're like DMing me like, "You son of a bitch! You piece of shit! Your life revolves around me. All right." So I see caps and I'm just like, "Oh God, what's happening?" But yeah, we're gonna have to get that story read here. And I apologize. Maybe you can. I just like, basically the way things operate is like, everything, as you can see, is kind of just done like on the fly. You know what I mean? And especially when it comes to the stuff that's on the subreddit, I'm not like scouring stories in the subreddit. Like, basically what I do is the day that I'm going to be recording, I just kind of like go in and find the top ones for the week, and just, you know, the top 10 for the week or whatever, and just kind of like quickly bring those up and have them ready to rock and roll. So I can definitely imagine sometimes things get, you know, skipped. Richard with the 5 says, are there any plans for Airbnb stories? I feel like I have a video about Airbnb that might only be like 3 stories in it or something like that. But, so maybe I have that up, I'm not sure, but it definitely sounds pretty interesting. Insane asylums, we might get there one day. 500k face reveal? Maybe. Maybe the face reveal has already been done and it's right in front of you. Wait, did someone say something about no sleep? I thought I saw something about like taking away Reddit no sleep. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. If they're actually like taking down the Reddit no sleep thing. Because that would be insane. Like what? Yeah. What does? Is there like drama or something going on at our no sleep, or like some issues with that? I'm the Wendigo. We do shapeshift. Wait, no sleep Reddit is getting shut down? Why? Why? Like literally why? It's like, it's stories, it's creepypastas, and none of them are like, I mean, they can be gruesome sometimes, but Jesus Cripes. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. Like I've seen Reddit like shut down like places for political reasons and stuff like that, like for censorship or whatever, but like I wouldn't understand like politically why they would shut down no sleep. They were caught smuggling immigrants, maybe. You never know. Too many violent stories? Jesus Christ. You know, that's so retarded, dude. That's so unbelievably dumb. The mods are annoyed by getting PM'd and complained to. Are you kidding me? Who cares? Just ignore them. What, doesn't it just go to a spam? Like, I feel like the mods are idiots because they probably browse Reddit. They probably browse that, you know, they're all the other parts of Reddit on that same account, so they're just like, oh, this is cluttering my inbox, I better just completely shut a good thing down. Oh, Spartan Hunter, yeah, we're pretty close to getting all the stories you need for the UFO video. So perhaps we could go over that script again, and I could get that audio to you, and if you're interested in editing the video that we were, or you know, in images that we were discussing using and that kind of thing, then we could get, because basically your part would be the opening for the video, and then it would kind of like slowly go into all the stories that I would be reading and stuff. So it should be a sick video, but just, yeah, talk to me on Discord, we'll figure it out. Roman Empire and Jay Clinui, welcome. But yeah, honestly, like, how hard is it? How hard is it? If that's the situation with the mods, how hard is it just to hand a subreddit? Oh, I mean, well, you know what's gonna happen? No Sleep dies, new one pops up, easy peasy. Like, it's gonna be annoying because it's like, you know, it takes a while for like a shattered organism to reform or whatever, but I'm sure they'll figure out something. Yeah, that dude, that's the weirdest thing. I just recently heard like there was like some like it was for Overwatch in the Overwatch League, and then someone like tweeted, one of the Overwatch players tweeted a picture of him like in the audience. Oh yeah, Spooky, we should see if we can go take over No Sleep. We'll go be. I would gladly go be a mod there. Never sleep. But yeah, people were just too sensitive anymore. I don't understand it. Like, and it's so weird to me because also people were too reactive to sensitivity. So if say someone approaches you and says, "Hey, I was offended by the thing you said, and you know, I demand that you shut down," or you know, something ridiculous or something outrageously dumb, rather than like having like a discussion with that person to explain to them that they're insane. You know, people just capitulate and give in to complaints so easily. So easily. It's so strange. You just, oh, one person complained on Twitter about something, therefore let's shut it all down. All this, everything we worked for, let's just give in, because we sure would hate to upset somebody. Being upset feels good. Being upset feels good. If you get upset, be upset. Just be upset and think to yourself, oh, I've got all these ideas in my mind of why I'm upset. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my words, and I'm going to go articulate those words to that person that I'm upset with in a intelligent, constructive manner that's I'm not going to call them names or anything, but I'm just going to say like, hey, I have this different perspective. What do you think about that different perspective? And they're going to say, oh, I have another perspective. There it is. Maybe we can find a happy middle ground. No. People have lost their mind. And the worst part is that like it just keeps, it's like these companies, these advertisers, all this kind of stuff, like they're so volatile. They're like legendary Pokemon, like, you know, like when you come across like the legendary dog and you're like, or say you come across a Genghis Khan or something like you know, in the Safari Zone, and you throw like one, like a, you know, throwing a pester ball or something like that is like sending like a frustrated tweet about, you know, somebody that offended you, and then the advertiser is just like, I'm out of here, the Genghis Khan, you know. And it's just like, oh man, it's so strange how volatile all this, the whole market is, because people are so afraid of upsetting some like soccer mom or some shit. I mean, No Sleep of all places. Like, I mean, it was pretty. Shannon's. It's so weird. I feel like Shannon shows up every time I'm like losing my shit. Free. That's so funny. Shannon. Shannon's seen me in my worst in Overwatch, and now she's caught me on my soapbox here, and this is, I don't do this too often, so that's kind of funny. Pokemon? Did you say Pokemon? All right, guys, let's forget about the hot soccer moms and Twitter, and let's focus on something real cool. Wait, Shannon, you spelled my name with tiles? How did we do that? Do I got any gold weapons? Oh yeah. Hanzo bow, baby, and Reinhardt's big old hammer. That dude says, Joel, what did you miss? We've got one more story, my friend. We are moving on to the last one. Oh, chat. Chuck is here too. I'm getting raided right now, dude. We got Chuck Sandusky Go in the house. Oh, guys, Chuck's taken over. Can you guys defend me against Chuck Go? He's a real alien, that one. Peggy would be upset at his conduct. This happened a good 4 years. Shit. This happened a good few years ago. I was in my early 20s, single and living my... This is great. Good start. This happened a good few years ago. I was in my early 20s, single and living by myself. Most of my family lived about a 4-hour drive away from me. I was working for a small call center that provided, among other things, phone services for a 24-hour plumbing company, so they needed someone on the line at all times. My shift ran from 8 p.m. to whenever my boss showed up to pick up the line, which was usually 6 a.m. I worked in a building that housed several businesses of the same sort, call center work mostly, though we were the only one that had 24-hour service. Because of budget cuts, I was always the only operator on my floor. The only people in the building at night were myself and the security guy who came by to do his rounds twice a night. Now, because the line had to be on 24/7, I was never allowed to disconnect while I was there. I ran to and from the bathroom, ate meals sitting in front of the computer, and every once in a while sneaked a cigarette at the window within sight of the screen. Only the light above my computer was on. No. Only the light above my computer was on. Everything else was turned off when everyone went away around 10 p.m., so I was left in this half-darkness beneath a spotlight. I desperately needed that job to support myself, so despite the terrible conditions, I kept repeating that it wasn't that bad. Things were usually quiet after 10 p.m. I could use the extra hours on my paycheck and didn't need to get a second job. I did a lot of reading and even considered going back to school because, if nothing else, the night shift would afford me plenty of time to study. So one night, around 2 a.m. or so, I got a call. I introduced myself, as I always did. "Hello, you're talking to so-and-so. My name is Jill. How may I help you?" The guy on the other side repeated my name and hung up. Working phone services on the night shift, you get used to a lot of weird stuff, so I shrugged it off and went back to my book. Then he called again and asked if he was speaking to Jill. I said yes, repeated the company name, and asked how may I help you. He hangs up. The third time around he asks if this is Jill on the phone, and I ask to whom I'm speaking. He hangs up again. The next time he calls, he's breathing hard on the phone and tells me he wants to... What did Chuck say? I'm missing Chuck trolling me hard. Kidnap him and make him raid Giratina. I was saying Giratina looked like that booger that Austin sneezed out earlier. I should have just caught that in Cassidy's glasses. Alright, where was I? He hangs up. The third time around he asks if this is Jill on the phone, and I ask to whom I'm speaking. He hangs up again. The next time he calls, he's breathing hard on the phone and tells me he wants me to talk to him and he's not going to hurt me. I jot down his phone number and I start hanging up whenever his calls pop up, which was the better part of an hour. This went on for months. When he realized I was hanging up every time I saw that number, he began calling from a restricted number, meaning I never knew if it was a legit call, and ended up answering. All the time this guy keeps saying he wants me to talk to him and that he's not going to hurt me. The one time I counted, I hung up on this guy over 200 times in one night. Every time he would call, I'd say the company name, and as soon as I'd hear him, I'd hang up. I complained to my boss, and she did nothing. Instead, she laughed the whole thing off because this guy obviously didn't know where I was, and he was only a voice on the line, and I was perfectly safe. Sometime into this, I started talking to a coworker, and here's where it started getting really creepy. He never called on my days off when someone else would be covering my shift. Indeed, at one point, I changed shifts with a coworker to attend a wedding, and he didn't call that day. As time went by, I was getting pretty spooked by the whole situation and the fact my boss did zero to try and stop this. My coworkers were sympathetic and told me that if my boss did nothing, I should file a complaint myself, but I'm not sure if I could since this wasn't happening on my personal number. None of them could really walk me home since I was the only operator in night shift. Everyone else had gone. Chuck Go with the $2 says, let's read the Let's read the unredacted Mueller report. Am I right, chat? That's my next video, probably in May or June. The big special we're working on. None of them could really walk me home since I was the only operator in night shift. Everyone else was gone by the time my boss arrived and I left the office. I got a little paranoid because obviously this guy knew my schedule pretty well, and even if I changed shifts, he would only call if he knew I was on the line. It had to be someone who could see me. I started doing the commute with my cell phone in hand at all times with the emergency number dialed in. Sometimes I did the whole commute on the phone with friends or relatives to keep calm. Since it's illegal to carry pepper spray here, at one point I considered walking around with a box cutter in my purse. That's how afraid I was. One day, before my shift started, I was at the entrance of the building smoking a cigarette before going up, and I see the security guard come by. Same fellow who usually did the night shift, this huge guy. I didn't really know him, never spoke much to him, only said good evening and goodbye when I went by his desk and whenever he came to my floor to do his rounds. I usually kept to myself and never really made small talk or anything, just greeted him out of politeness and he greeted back. He asked for a light, so I gave him my lighter. He told me he'd been fired and was going home, and he went on to tell me he always got the impression I was afraid of him since I was never friendly or welcoming. Exact words. Then he told me he was never going to hurt me, and just walked away. I lost every drop of blood I had in me. I went inside to tell my boss the whole thing and discovered the guy got fired for harassing women in other floors, going as far as trying to corner someone in one of the elevators. The complaints piled up and he lost his job. One of the times, his shifts matched mine, so... well, most of the time. Dace B with the 2. Thank you, Dace. Most of the time, his shifts matched mine, so he would see me come in at 8 p.m. and left before I did. I asked my boss for that phone number again, to come forward on this guy, asked the security company... oh, fuck. What is this saying? I asked my boss for that phone number again to come forward on this guy, asked the security company... that. I asked my boss for that phone number again, to come forward on this guy, asked the security company... I keep saying company, Jesus Christ. Jesus Louise. Okay, I asked my boss for that phone number again, to come forward on this guy and ask the security company if that was his number. She told me she threw it away. When I told her the whole story, she found it cute. Exact word. Then she asked me if I was sure it was him, because the voice on the phone is different and maybe you got it wrong. Exact words. Quality assurance told us time and again that our every call was recorded, so I demanded recordings. That's when I found out that, again, because of budget cuts and whatnot, the night shift was never recorded, so I had no evidence. Once the guy was fired, the calls stopped. I didn't work there for much longer after that. And time. 3 hours. Oh. Oh boy, I am tired. Alright guys, now's where the chirping birdies begin. And where we read our exit. Is Chuck Go or Shannon still in the stream? Because I would like them. Basically, I read a little script at the end that goes in my video as far as telling people where to kind of connect with me with different things. And at the end, I've been changing it up to kind of like put something funny so people can, from the stream, can be like, I was there, man. It was freaking cool. And if they're here, I would like to invite them to say whatever they would like for me to say. If not, they're bad friends, okay? You mess with the meow meow, you get the piao piao. That'd be a good one. Oh, Miss Molly, you sent a donation via Streamlabs. Was it like way earlier? I didn't hear the sound, and I didn't. Usually it pops up. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything came up on at least this stream. Unless it hasn't gone through yet or something like that. Oh yeah, Pato the Cato. Oh, Chuck is still here. Chuckster. Also, I want to make a shout out to Chuck's future stream, also aka Deep V-Neck. Or maybe it's just Deep V. But Chuck's going to be a big time poker streamer here soon, so keep an eye out for him. Be hitting the scene hard once he's done with school. That dude. Will we ever do a stream where you chill and talk about life, video games, and Joe Rogan? I mean, that's pretty much every stream for me. I definitely get on quite a few sidetracks. So if you guys ever obviously have any questions related to life, video games, and or Joe Rogan, please do ask me. But I mean, we can pretty much just sum up Joe Rogan as a chimp that took too much DMT. Which is also me as well. Buttery flake of crust. Jess with the 2 says, great stream. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. I guess maybe Chuck's not here anymore. Maybe he just gave a heart. A heart and a fart. Unless he's thinking of something real good. But we might just have to say Pato the Cato. 69 total mistakes? Nice. Oh yeah. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends. Always remember, the Pato, your Cato. Boom, we did it. Chimp, DMT, Joe Rogan. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. chimps, DMT. These were the ingredients to create the perfect Joe Rogan. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to kind of show you guys the behind-the-scenes recording process and just chill, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's down below, and maybe Spooky can link it as well, the link to the Discord. And there we have a nice super pause, environment, and you know, it's cool. I mean, everybody's looking for more internet friends, you know what I mean? And I think my Discord really differentiates itself from other Discords because my Discord has the best internet friends the internet can ever internet. The end. Redma says you have to work tomorrow. It's Monday. Oh. What day is today? Today is a Thursday. I guess it's your Monday. This is your weekend here, huh? But yeah, guys, thanks so much for chilling with me and being my fans. Yeah, so I'm trying to hit this pretty frequently, Tuesdays and Thursdays for streams. The new video will also be out tomorrow at 7 p.m. with all these beautiful stories involved. A pen pal. We could do pen pal. Oh, that would be neat. I mean, I guess you could just DM each other, you know. That's kind of like a pen pal, but you get it sent right to your phone. But I love you guys, and I will see you oh so soon. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.